of where innovation, money, and power collide. In Silicon Valley and beyond, this is Bloomberg Technology with Emily Chang.
I'm Emily Chang in San Francisco, and this is Bloomberg Technology. Coming up in the next hour, a conflict that will only get more brutal. U.S. officials warn more indiscriminate tactics coming from Russian forces in an attempt to suppress the Ukrainian resistance. We're live from the White House. Plus, Apple stopping all product sales in Russia, saying the company stands with all of the people who are suffering as a result of the violence. And Airbnb says it'll help shelter 100,000 Ukrainian refugees who fled their country as Russian forces continue their assault. My conversation with Airbnb CEO Brian Chesky later this hour. We're going to get to all of that in a moment, but first I want to get a look at the markets in the final moments of U.S. trading. Apple saying it's halted all product sales in Russia. Our Ed Ludlow with us now. Ed, what was the impact?
Yeah, I mean, the news story, the news flow intense over this Ukraine-Russian conflict, and the oil story front and center. You look at that monster move in your screen. We're still above $100 a barrel on WTI West Texas Intermediate. And that move higher in oil, despite the US and other developed economies pledging to release stockpiles, rippled through risk assets. You see red on the screen with equities. The worry is that those higher energy prices adding to inflation. The worry is the situation in Ukraine and Russia impacting global growth. The S&P 500 down 1.5%. The NASDAQ 100 down 1.6%. That's despite a pretty sizable move lower in yields. You see bond markets advance, the US 10-year yield, the benchmark yield down 10 basis points to 1.72%. It was just 20 days ago that we were above 2% on that US 10-year yield. Broadly, this is a commodity story. This is the impact from the conflict in Ukraine. Come with me into my Bloomberg terminal. Look at this chart. We've been focused on energy markets, oil and natural gas. This is industrial metals, because now you see corporate America taking notice, taking action, not just in terms of removing their products from Russia, but also the impact to higher input costs that they now face. You see that the Bloomberg Industrial Metals Index rising by the most since December, but it's now at its highest level since 2011. This is what I'm talking about the inflation story coming out of the Ukraine-Russia situation, those higher impact costs and that impact to global growth. Of course, now the market also considering what the Federal Reserve does in the outlook for rates. Of course, specific stock stories we're looking at on Tuesday as well. Back to me in the studio. You have to start with supply chain. HP Inc., one of the biggest makers of PCs in the world, down 0.8% on Tuesday. Great quarter just gone. They're warning on profit this quarter. Why? Russia-Ukraine conflict. Lucid down 14%, not directly tied to conflict, but supply chain, cutting its outlook down from 20,000 vehicles to 12 to 14,000. Big tech is taking action now. You see all these statements coming out about removing Russian affiliated media from platforms. Meta down 4%, and Apple, as you said, Emily, the top line, pausing sales in Russia.
Ed, huge statement from Apple today. This from an Apple spokesperson. We've paused all product sales in Russia. Last week, we stopped all exports into our sales channel in the country. Apple Pay and other services have been limited. RT News and Sputnik News are no longer available for download from the App Store outside Russia. And we've disabled both traffic and live incidents in Apple Maps in Ukraine as a safety and precautionary measure for Ukrainian citizens. So certainly a number of very significant moves by Apple, standing in solidarity, essentially, with the Ukrainian people.
Yeah. The biggest company name in the world, the biggest action by corporate America today. You have to remember, Russia's a small part of sales. For Apple, you'll get into that with Mark Gurman later. But clearly a big statement. And by the way, just after Apple made that announcement, Ford followed suit, saying it is actually pausing its operations in Russia as well in partnership with its JV there. You see the stock down 0.3% in after hours.
All right. We're going to talk to Brian Chesky about Airbnb on the same issue as well later this hour. Ed, thank you. Meantime, Western military officials say Russia's invasion of Ukraine is entering a new phase, promising an even more deadly time ahead for Ukrainian civilians and its soldiers. I want to get now to our Bloomberg Washington correspondent, Anne-Marie Horton, standing by at the White House. Anne-Marie, President Biden spoke to President Zelensky earlier today. What is the latest that we know?
Yeah, they're certainly keeping in touch. The press secretary said that at least between the Ukrainians and the Americans, there's conversations almost daily. But the president spoke directly with President Zelensky today. And this is, of course, as Kharkiv, the second biggest city, there has been an onslaught in terms of that city, and many reporting that now a number of civilian places are being attacked. And then, of course, you have a very long road into Kiev that the Russians are just filling up. So you can see these two big cities are really starting to get either hit or encroached. And of course, the president speaking about that with the State of the Union, this has really changed the tone of his State of the Union speech, because a lot of the time presidents really want to focus on what's going on domestically. But given that we have this Russian invasion of Ukraine, the president is going to be focusing on that.
Absolutely. The State of the Union coming up. And certainly, what does President Biden have to reassure the American people about at this time, given the impact we're seeing on the economy and the concerns about rising inflation?
Yeah, this is really where the foreign policy meets the domestic, because what we're seeing on the foreign policy front is, of course, sanctions against Russia, incredibly harsh sanctions that are having ripple effects across the financial community around the world, and especially in Russia's #1 industry, and that is fossil fuels, oil and gas. And that any sort of price premium we will see in the oil market, that will trickle down to individuals at the gasoline pump right here in America and across the world. But it's not only that, Emily. When you look at Russia, it is a commodity superstore. Wheat, massive export, palladium, aluminum, all of this feeds into the supply chain. So this is just going to make it harder for this administration to fight inflation, and that is their #1 domestic challenge.
All right, Bloomberg's Anne-Marie Horton in Washington at the White House. Anne-Marie, thank you. I want to get back to that Apple news, halting product sales in Russia. Joining me now, our very own Mark Gurman, who covers Apple. Obviously, this is a very significant statement from Apple. Mark, how big is Apple's business in Russia, and how will this impact the Russian people?
Yeah, I mean, Apple's business in Russia is pretty minimal, right? It is one component and not even close to the top of the biggest components in terms of their overall sales in Europe, which I believe is their third biggest market behind the US and China and other parts of Asia. So in terms of the financial impact on Apple, I think it's going to be fairly minimal. This is them taking a stand on this issue. And you saw after Apple put their statement out, it came like Niagara Falls, a bunch of statements coming out after from Ford, from other companies, Universal, I saw from Nike, about them pausing their operations or slowing some of their ties to Russia as well.
Right. Apple saying in their statement, we join all those around the world who are calling for peace. I mean, do you expect more potential companies to be motivated by this, essentially, given that Apple, even though their business might be small there, is such an iconic company?
I mean, personally, I think you're going to see lots of companies in the Western world, whether that's in the US, in the UK, elsewhere in Europe, really take a stand and pull their operations, or at least halt sales and operations in Russia. Apple was the big one, though, from a tech perspective, right? This was the biggest tech company by far that had direct-to-consumer sales in Russia. For over a decade now, or about a decade now, I should say, Apple has had a dedicated standalone online store in Russia where you basically go to apple.com/ru/store and you could buy products as a citizen in Russia, and these are from an American company, right? So this was the big one. Apple probably had to do it, and they did it. And this is it's a very good symbol for the company and some of the social issues and policies that they stand on. So this is a plus for Apple, and you see other companies following suit now.
Right, and we know Apple CEO Tim Cook has taken a stand on a number of social issues since he's been leading the company. Okay, Mark Gurman, thank you. We'll see if other companies follow suit. Coming up, social networks scrambling to police content in the midst of Russian disinformation. I'm going to be joined by researcher Renee DiResta, who's spoken before Congress on these matters to talk about how big tech companies can better combat foreign propaganda. That is next. This is Bloomberg. Twitter announcing interesting that it's now labeling tweets affiliated with Russian state media, an effort the company says to, quote, significantly reduce the circulation of content pushed by the Russian government. Twitter also saying it'll put labels on other state-affiliated media outlets in coming weeks. My next guest says this is an important step as we examine the role of disinformation on social media. Joining me now, Renee DiResta. She is a research manager at the Stanford Internet Observatory. She spent years studying disinformation and even testified before Congress on these issues. Renee, great to have you back with us. So talk to us about the significance of labeling state-affiliated media. And is labeling enough, or should it be blocked entirely to stop the spread of disinformation?
These are really hard questions, Emily. Thanks for having me on. First of all, the labeling state media initiatives actually began in early 2020 when we started to see accounts out of China, Chinese state media, using Facebook ads in particular, to push false and misleading claims about COVID to audiences worldwide. That was one of the initial events that kind of precipitated the idea that people who are receiving information should know what the source is, particularly if the source is from an account linked to a foreign government. A lot of the conversation about disinformation on social media focuses on the bots and the trolls and the kind of covert chatter that comes and goes. You know, we see waves of accounts come and then get taken down. And those accounts are interesting. Those accounts can potentially shape a conversation, maybe participate in making something trend. But ultimately, state media accounts have standing audiences in the tens to hundreds of millions of followers. And these are the mouthpieces, the very overt, attributable broadcast mouthpieces that governments have built up over time to put their view of events out to the world. A conflict, sorry, go ahead.
Let's talk about that. In the current conflict, what are you seeing from Russian state-run media that is particularly alarming, and how widespread is it on big social platforms?
So what we're seeing is states using their media outlets to target different types of messages to different people depending on where they are. So Russia has not really done a whole lot targeting Western audiences in this particular conflict. We are not the audiences that they consider most relevant. They're really focusing their communication domestically on their own citizens, trying to create support for a conflict. And then they're focusing near to the conflict itself, trying to mislead the people of Ukraine, trying to make them think that their government is leaving, that their fighters are giving up, that the resistance is collapsing, to demoralize the public there. And that is where, and particularly in a situation like this, some of the false and misleading information, including that put out by state media, can have a significant degree of harm in the conflict area itself. So Western audiences or non-regional audiences are a wholly separate issue. They may be trying to shape public perception, but ultimately the thing that is of real concern that platforms are trying to be aware of is information from Russia targeting people in Ukraine or targeting people in the immediate region because they are trying to use the information war to bolster the shooting war.
And to your understanding, what has the impact of that been? I mean, we've heard reports from folks in Russia, folks who have family in Russia, that many of them don't have any idea the extent of what's really going on.
We've seen the same commentary from people, from even captured soldiers, who say we were told that they would welcome us. We were not told that this was what we were going to be going there for. So there's a whole lot to kind of unpack and try to understand in that dynamic. But one thing that's been really remarkable about this is the Ukrainian government, the Ukrainian ministers, constantly on Twitter, constantly on social platforms, on Telegram and other places, telling the world what is actually happening, actively pre-bunking. You have President Zelensky regularly streaming himself, reinforcing the fact we are here, we are fighting. And so in that action, in that quite visible use of social media from the Ukrainian government, from the people of Ukraine, you are seeing a pretty remarkable pushback against Russia's efforts here. And this is where this question of what should be blocked, what should be allowed, the people are spending a lot of time actually kind of flooding the pages of Russian state media, leaving pro-Ukraine comments at this point. So I think the decision to respond to governments in Europe and others who want to see content either made inaccessible or or temporarily blocked in certain regions makes sense in a particular part of the world that maybe is more directly impacted by certain types of misinformation, versus what we're seeing in the West, where American audiences can still go and see this content if they're so inclined.
Absolutely. The way that President Zelensky has been communicating with his people and with people around the world has been incredibly powerful. What do you think the platform should be doing? I mean, Meta announced it stopped recommending Russian state media to Facebook and Instagram users. Is that enough? Is it enough to do it now? Should it be, last beyond, when this war, or hopefully this war, is over?
That's a really challenging question. For a long time, we've had this idea, in America, that under something like the Foreign Agent Registration Act, we should know what foreign governments are saying. We should be able to receive that information, that communication. But in a time of crisis such as this, in a time in which life and death decisions can come about as a result of people seeing incorrect information, there are rules that are being put into play in the short term that need to be more carefully considered as we evaluate where to go in the long term.
Now, you talked about how difficult it is to discern misinformation on TikTok in particular. Is there something different about TikTok that makes it more of a minefield when it comes to misinformation, and why?
TikTok is, most people consume TikTok in their app. It's, I opened up my TikTok the other night, and the very first video that began to play was a video game, and it had a, nameless account. It was a shooting video game, first-person shooter. And they were claiming that this was a scene of a conflict between Russia and Ukraine. And, Twitter has been pretty good about either labeling or throttling these, Facebook as well. But on TikTok, there it is with, kind of 1 million likes, and it's right there, the first thing that plays. And so the other thing that TikTok does not have is actually that very basic state media labeling. So when there is content that is produced by propagandists, the audience doesn't know. So this combination of content being repurposed, content being put out by an unverified or actively incentivized to harm kind of source, the people who are receiving the content on the platform can't tell. It takes them a lot of extra time to go and try to reverse image search a clip from a video, which is not something that is native or easy to do on a mobile phone when the information is being pushed to you. So I think that TikTok really lags its partners in the social media, of the big social media players, in not having these policies in place. And more importantly, we're seeing Meta and we're seeing Twitter reacting very quickly to either take down networks that they've found or to come up with these new labeling policies that are specifically tailored for the current events on the ground. And we don't really see TikTok following suit in that regard.
Interesting that you see TikTok being behind there. Thank you for helping us navigate some of these really thorny issues. Renee DiResta, researcher at the Stanford Internet Observatory. Good to have you with us. Coming up, is the Zoom glory over? We're going to talk with Zoom CFO Kelly Steckelberg after the company's projected sales this quarter fell short of Wall Street estimates, how it can earn back investor confidence. That's next. This is Bloomberg. Well, as more employees return to work in their offices, questions loom about whether Zoom's appeal during the pandemic era will fade. Zoom shares have declined by more than 75% from their October 2020 high. How will the company sustain growth beyond the pandemic boom? CFO Kelly Steckelberg with us now for more. Kelly, I have to ask you, given the geopolitical situation, your reaction to what we're seeing in Ukraine. Obviously, there's a humanitarian concern, but how are you viewing the impact on the economy and to potentially Zoom's business?
So, first of all, of course, our hearts go out to everyone impacted by this unfortunate situation. We feel lucky as an organization and a company that we don't have any employees that are directly impacted in either region. We do have some of their family members that are there, so we're doing everything that we can to help. And we have very minimal exposure from a revenue perspective in either of the two regions. So in terms of the impact that we expect directly on our business, it's really de minimis.
So let's talk about Zoom. As I said, there are questions about whether the glory days are over, and I'm sure that you will disagree. You're planning to stop reporting the number of customers with over 10 employees, pivot to reporting just the number of enterprise customers. Can you explain that change and what it means for this bigger picture?
Sure. So first of all, I just want to highlight we were very pleased with our results for FY22 that we reported yesterday, growing year over year 55% to over $4.1 billion. And as you highlighted, we really have seen tremendous growth in two parts of our business, which is the enterprise, which is that is touched by our direct, our channel, and our ISV partners. And then our online business, which is now approximately 50% of our business. So we are shifting metrics, as you mentioned, to focus on the enterprise, this is really where we see the long-term sustainable growth of our business. And we saw strong performance here with, customers with more than $100,000 of trailing 12-month revenue accelerating. We saw strength with Zoom Phone that had a record quarter with over 550 seats added. And so we're really excited about the future. We also last week announced Zoom Contact Center, which is our cloud contact center solution, which is fully integrated into the Zoom platform. So this is really a big year of transition for Zoom as we're moving from being a killer meeting app to a platform for communications and collaboration.
Right. Now, I'm curious if you can clarify Zoom's stance on Ukraine. I noticed that some parts of the country, the separatist areas, Crimea, et cetera, not serviced by Zoom, but Russia's not on the list of banned countries. Can you explain that?
So we do have some business in the region of Russia that is mostly through resellers, and we will continue, of course, to comply with all U.S. laws and sanctions, and we're very closely monitoring those.
Is there any consideration of self-sanctioning? Obviously, we saw Apple take a dramatic move today, Ford as well.
Yeah. We certainly internally keep discussing all the options in how do we best support everyone that's in Ukraine region, and how do we do what's appropriate and what should we do as a good corporate citizen. So as this is a very quickly evolving situation, as you well know, we keep discussing it and monitoring it and trying to make decisions in a real-time basis.
And, to this bigger question, you mentioned Zoom Phone earlier. Talk to us about how well these ancillary businesses are doing and whether you see that sort of padding, any lack of growth you might see in the core part of the business over the longer term.
Yeah. So our strategy has been from the beginning to start with Zoom meetings and then continue to expand our share of wallet from our customers by selling them additional services. And Zoom Phone is a perfect example of that. We also see Zoom Rooms as organizations are thinking about welcoming their employees back to the office. The conference room strategy is really key to make sure that as they have employees working remotely, that it's inclusive and that they're bringing them together in a way that works for everybody, those that are inside the room and those that are without. Also, just as we expect the future of work to be hybrid, we also expect events to be hybrid as well. And our new product, Zoom Events, went GA last year. And that's really, as we look forward to these large events and people want to come together, but they also want to have that virtual component.
Okay. Zoom CFO Kelly Steckelberg, always great to have you here. Thank you, Kelly, for taking the time to join us. Coming up, Airbnb offering homes to tens of thousands of Ukrainians fleeing their country. My conversation with CEO Brian Chesky. Next, how he's making that a reality and his take on self-sanctioning in Russia. That's next. This is Bloomberg. Airbnb is offering free shelter for up to 100,000 Ukrainian refugees fleeing the Russian invasion of their country. CEO Brian Chesky telling me he plans to work with neighboring European states to provide long-term stays as well. Take a listen to my conversation with him earlier today.
We announced yesterday that Airbnb, in partnership with Airbnb.org and our host community, have a goal to house up to 100,000 refugees fleeing Ukraine. Now, since we made that announcement, we've had over 30,000 people visit the page to learn about how to be a host or to donate. And we're just trying to get more word out, because basically the name of the game is the more hosts we have, the more refugees we can house.
What's the feedback you're getting from governments, from border crossings, about the situation that these refugees find themselves in the crosshairs of a war?
Yeah, I mean, we've reached out to 14 different governments in Central Eastern Europe, governments like Poland and Hungary and Romania and Germany. And what they're telling us is mostly thank you, because last reports I heard, there were over 600,000 refugees that have been fleeing Ukraine. And so these governments need to find a way to house them. And what we can provide is an infrastructure. You know, we've housed 54,000 refugees for free since we started Airbnb, and we've housed over 100,000 people in need for all different events for free. So I think we're being viewed, I hope, as a solution to a problem that they have. We can be a great partner, and I think they're appreciative of the support and the help.
What's been the response from hosts in these countries? Has there been an outpouring of support?
Yeah, I mean, it's just starting, obviously, in the last 24 hours, but we have had a large response so far. Just to give you a point of reference, 2 years ago, when the pandemic initially, of course, broke out, we worked with the French government, for example, to provide housing for workers in the front line. Tens of thousands of hosts stepped up. We had tens of thousands of hosts step up to provide housing for Afghan refugees, and we're expecting a pretty big response. Again, the main thing we need to do is just make sure that in the kind of flood of all the noise going on, that people who have homes that have availability in these countries know that they can take in refugees.
Now, I know Airbnb has a significant number of listings in Ukraine, given the number of short-term rentals I see in Kyiv, in Lviv, in Odessa. Do you have employees in Ukraine? And what is the status of your operations and hosts there?
Yeah, we don't have employees. We don't have a meaningful number of employees in Central Eastern Europe. We're primarily in certain hubs. Now, as you imagine, we have thousands of listings in countries in all over Central and Eastern Europe. And so our big focus right now we're focused on two big priorities. Number one, we're trying to make sure that our hosts and our community is safe. So we're doing a lot of outreach to our hosting guests in countries all over Central Eastern Europe. The second focus we have is try to house as many refugees as possible. And this entire refugee effort, Emily, really started 3 days ago. You know, it was Thursday, Friday, it became apparent that there were going to be hundreds of thousands of people fleeing Ukraine. And so we've worked all weekend through yesterday to be able to mobilize this effort.
Now, several companies have been self-sanctioning, pulling back their business operations in Russia. We just saw Apple pause all product sales in Russia. I know Airbnb also has a number of listings in Russia. Will you consider halting business there? What kind of conversations are you having?
Yeah, I mean, as you can imagine, we have our hands full right now because we made this huge commitment to house up to 100,000 refugees. That being said, I'll say two things. Number one, you know, we are going to cooperate with the U.S. government. We're in constant contact with them and support of whatever sanctions that they intend to impose. Number two, as a practical matter, a lot of the sanctions that have been imposed on the Russian banks in Russia have limited our ability to do business, the ability of people in Russia to receive money and the ability of people in Russia to pay. So as a practical matter, a lot of our business is probably going to be on pause just from the inability to be able to pay. But we are looking at other steps. As you can imagine, we're just triaging right now.
So on that note, how are you expecting the war to impact travel overall across Europe? I mean, what are you bracing for here?
Hard to know. I don't really know what is going to unfold over the coming weeks and months. But what I will say is that whatever happens in Europe, our business is incredibly resilient. I mean, we have nearly every type of home in nearly every type of community at nearly every price point. And I think what the last 2 years have shown is however the world changes, our business can adapt. And so, you know, we continue to ask ourselves, how can we help in this time of need? The most important way we can help right now is housing people that need a place to stay. But, you know, I'm sure this is going to have a disruption on European travel, but we'll be able to adapt to whatever that disruption is.
Airbnb CEO Brian Chesky there. You can catch more of my interview with Chesky at Bloomberg.com. All right, coming up, crypto and the war in Ukraine. We're going to be joined by Starkiller Capital's Lee Drogan to talk about the role of crypto in this conflict and whether it could become a tool to circumvent sanctions. That's next. This is Bloomberg. Time now for our crypto report. I want to bring in our crypto contributor, Sonali Basak, as we see Bitcoin surging for a second day. Sonali, are we seeing Bitcoin decoupling from traditional markets here, beginning to trade on its own? And is this being influenced by what's happening in Ukraine?
There's a few really interesting things happening in the market here, Emily. You have Bitcoin prices themselves getting closer now to $44,000, really getting lift here the last couple of days. And if you take a look at the prices here, you take a look at a Bitcoin price that's risen over the last 2 or 3 days, really much higher than 4 days ago, while stocks in that period over the last 2 days have dropped, where there's a correlation just about a week or so ago that it looks like it's starting to break off. I also want to take a look here at Ethereum prices, because you have Ethereum here now reaching about $3,000, and it also has had a significant lift the last couple of days. Now, when you take a look at volumes, you see that Ethereum also closely tied to a lot of stable coins, a lot of discussion around stable coins and the value of them in this new era where there's a lot of uncertainty. Besides Ethereum, you're seeing a lift in stable coins like Binance, the US dollar, and Tether. And so let's see, when volumes are really very high in those assets, how much this can sustain into the next couple of days.
All right, Sonali, stick with us. I want to continue this conversation about crypto and the role in the Ukrainian war now with our next guest, Lee Drogan from Starkiller Capital. Lee, you've been tweeting furiously about some of these issues, and I'm curious what you read into the rise in crypto. Is this solely to do with what's happening in Russia and Ukraine? Is it because there's simply more demand there?
There's definitely a spot bid that's independent of other risk assets. And, as you just pointed out, the correlations have definitely broken off. Specifically, we still have a VIX, equity VIX above 30, which historically has led to incredibly high correlations between crypto and equities. We've also seen, on-chain analytics as well as spot flow coming from different exchanges that basically says there's something between 3 and 4 times the amount of volume in ruble to BTC or ETH pairs on these centralized exchanges. And that's a one-way trade, obviously, right now. So there's definitely a bid coming out of that area of the world for obvious reasons. People are trying to get the hell out of rubles. How long that lasts is definitely a question, because the Russians are cutting off, all FX flows out of the country. And at some point, you're just not going to be able to use a card or a bank account to put any more money into these exchanges.
So look, certainly we're seeing crypto be used to support the Ukrainian resistance effort in incredibly powerful ways. There's also this major concern that the Russians could use cryptocurrency to circumvent sanctions. Do you see that as a real risk?
I don't think it's a reasonable scenario today. Come back in 3 or 4 years from now, maybe sooner, and maybe the market is liquid and large enough to the point where it could support that kind of evasion. But today, it wouldn't be possible. Basically, one, they have capital controls on everything at this point. So you've got to try and get it out of a bank account and onto a centralized exchange. That's hard enough. And in that part of the world, there really aren't that many DeFi direct on-ramps either. And so getting into DeFi isn't really that easy. But even if you were able to get it into a CeFi exchange, so you're going to do this in Bitcoin, which really isn't a great medium of transfer given its volatility. And there really aren't enough DeFi stablecoin pairs between the ruble and USD or EUR to make this a viable solution for getting around these types of things. And so it's really up to the CeFi exchanges to make sure that they are complying, with all of the sanctions and regulatory issues, and it seems like they have been so far. It's hard to believe that somebody could get enough money into DeFi at this point to really evade what they're attempting to.
Lee, and I'm really curious here. You make this point on capital controls and Russia's ability to really clamp down on people who are the ordinary citizens who are trying to move their money into crypto. And I'm wondering what that says more broadly about a government's ability to stop people from transacting in cryptocurrencies when they need to.
Yeah, well, look, there's a very good reason why people like me deeply believe in what's going on in DeFi. And it's not for some crazy libertarian reason. It's because of things like this. The United States is only one country on this earth, and there are a lot of other places where you don't want to be holding your entire net worth in some, kangaroo currency. And the ruble has been terrible for a decade now. So I think it's a very important, concept that this ecosystem ends up flourishing. What you're also seeing right now is this battle between centralized stablecoins and decentralized algorithmic stablecoins. Terra Luna is going crazy right now because there's a massive inflow of capital into that protocol because it's a decentralized stablecoin. There is no fiat bank account that a government can regulate and clamp down on and take your stablecoin, whereas USDC or some of these other centralized stablecoins, they can absolutely do that. There's literal dollars sitting in a vault somewhere. So I think there's a very interesting difference between those two frameworks.
Yeah, it's interesting. Luna is definitely worth discussing at some point again soon. But I do want to also get your thoughts here, Lee, on this idea of what you called the cryptoization of Forex, and this idea that there really are only a couple of currencies here that convert easily. To what extent do we see what's going on in the world today accelerating that move from traditional foreign exchange as we know it to crypto?
Yeah, this is absolutely inevitable. And there are a lot of things in crypto that I don't think are completely inevitable. This is one of them. Trading with a bank where they're taking this huge spread for you to move dollars into euro or yen or whatever is absolutely going to go away, no matter how big that is. There's going to be a curve pool for every one of these pairs, and firms like ours are going to provide liquidity to those pairs and be the capital. It's inevitable. The spreads will be smaller. The fees will be smaller. You'll be able to do it instantaneously. All of the framework for this at scale is in place today. It's literally just a matter of liquidity in the system at this point.
Lee, you have been tweeting furiously about what's been going on in Russia. You said earlier that you were speaking with your family there, that your family had no clue what's going on, zero idea what's about to happen to the economy. All they get is government propaganda. It's scary in the worst Orwellian way. What do you think about big tech's responsibility here? We're seeing Apple pull products from the country, Ford as well. We assume there will be more. But how else can businesses step up?
Yeah, it's sad. Look, my wife's parents are 60. They've lived in Russia their entire lives. They're not digital natives, right? And so they're very much dependent on a specific flow of information, as is much of that country. The concept that everybody has access to a VPN and good sources of information is completely false, obviously. And to expect everybody to do that would be false as well. Do big tech companies have an obligation? No, look, they're companies. They don't have an obligation to do anything but make money. That's just the reality of it. Do they have a moral obligation at some point? I would say that, each of these individual CEOs, it would behoove them to, at this point, attempt to do the right thing. Apple makes how many tens of billions of dollars in profit a quarter? I mean, Yeah, look, I think at some point they have to put some values above making, what's the margin that they're going to lose off of clamping down on certain things to attempt to move this along a little faster. I think that may be smart.
All right, well, thank you for sharing that personal experience, and our hearts go out to your wife's parents. Thank you for joining us as well, Lee Drogan, Starkiller Capital, along with Bloomberg Shonali Bosick. Appreciate it. Coming up, remember that 19-year-old Elon Musk offered $5,000 to stop tracking his jet? Well, he didn't stop. And instead, he's now adding Russian oligarchs to the mix. Our conversation with Jack Sweeney coming up next. This is Bloomberg. Well, he made headlines and caused a few headaches by tracking Elon Musk's jet. Now, 19-year-old Jack Sweeney is at it again, but this time he's tracking jets owned by some of Russia's richest oligarchs following the invasion of Ukraine. We don't know for certain if the millionaires and billionaires are the ones on board, but thanks to Sweeney's programming and Twitter bots, we can track the plane's movement around the world. Joining me now, Jack Sweeney himself, founder of Ground Control and tracker of billionaires. I'm also joined by our Ed Ludlow. Jack, why did you go from tracking Elon Musk's to Russian oligarchs? What are you trying to achieve here?
Well, people asked, they knew I had the tracking ability of all these aircraft, and I found the list of these oligarchs and Putin on and all that. So I just started tracking them because people wanted me to.
Well, that's a pretty straightforward answer, Jack. Give us a sense of the technology that goes into this. How do you make this happen?
Yeah, so ever since like 9/11, there's this new technology called ADS-B where all the planes are required to transmit their location through their transponder. So there's all these websites and companies that receive this data, and I get that data and I'm able to analyze it in my program and post it to Twitter.
Now, we've noticed quite a few of these jets going to interesting places. Are you seeing any trends? Where are they right now?
They're pretty much all over the world. The United States and a few of that all, just from Russia to Russia, but no specific trend of leaving.
And Jack, you kind of answered pretty straightforward. You did this because people asked you to do it, right? We've been following you a little while now in terms of you tracking Elon Musk's jet. But what's in it for you? I mean, you're a young guy, respectfully. What's the rationale here?
Well, I just have a lot of interest in aviation, and now there's some good attention to everything I'm doing. So it's fun to track these planes and code the stuff and create the Twitter accounts.
Do you feel like you have some sort of moral obligation here? Does that play into this at all?
Well, people wanted it, so I mean, they can do whatever they want with it. There's people that seem to think that these people shouldn't be allowed in the United States or other countries. So there seems to be some interest in it that way, that they don't want these type of people.
So Jack, previously you'd had some engagement with Elon Musk about your tracking of his jet. Do you mind to give us an update on where you kind of left that?
Well, he seemed to no longer be interested in anything, and then he ended up blocking me after all the media about the whole account and everything went out in public. And he got a higher level of blocking, but seemed to give up on that, and now he doesn't really seem to care anymore.
So, to that point, it sounds like you're going to continue to do this no matter what Elon has to say about it or not.
Yeah.
Is there somewhere you want to take this, Jack? I mean, what's next?
I'd like to grow a website rather than just be on Twitter, so I have more options than just creating Twitter posts.
Jack, tell me a little bit about you. What's your background? How did you learn to program in this way and program these Twitter bots to, because it's very specific, right? You get a lot of data from the system in terms of where a plane is, its location, but you've set this up in a really specific way, basically based on takeoff, landing, and the city of origin for that plane. Walk us through it.
Yeah, so I had some aviation experience. My dad works in aviation, and I knew a little bit of coding, and I just had interested in all of it. And during COVID, I had a lot of free time, so I just started messing around with it, especially with Elon. You know, I had an interest in him, and I knew he had a private jet. So I just had the idea to create a Twitter bot, because there's a lot of different type of bots on Twitter, and I created the plane tracking one.
What do your parents think about all this, since you mentioned your dad?
They think it's pretty cool, and all their friends know about it, and they think it's pretty cool too.
All right, well, we'll keep watching those trackers. Jack Sweeney, founder of Ground Control, and our Ed Ludlow. Ed, you know, obviously this is a story that you've continued to follow for a while. What do you make of Jack's determination here?
Yeah, there's two sides to this. First of all, the reason I love this show, Emily, and I love working with you is that this is about technology, right? A 19-year-old that taught himself these skills, and he's basically giving a lens into the life of billionaires, rich people that you wouldn't otherwise have. And then you have the moral side of it, right? There's a lot of outrage in Europe about several oligarchs, what they're doing, how they're speaking, where they're conducting business. So it kind of gives you a lens into that as well.
Well, and it's certainly interesting seeing where these planes are. I know you've been looking very closely at the maps. Are there any interesting trends that you've pulled out?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. The debate right now is over no-fly zone, right? So we just had news after market on Tuesday that United will stop flying over Russian airspace. That's a commercial carrier, of course, but we're tracking the movements of several oligarchs, billionaires, one being Roman Abramovich, for example, the owner of Chelsea FC in the UK, because he might be involved in peace talks somewhere along the way.
All right, we'll keep watching. Ed, thank you. That does it for this edition of Bloomberg Technology. We're going to be joined tomorrow by Brett Taylor, Salesforce co-CEO, off the back of the company's earnings results, and Anthony Noto, CEO of SoFi. You won't want to miss those conversations. This is Bloomberg.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Anya Poole, Akinbody James, opening tap control by Duke. A good start imperative for the Devils. Gordon off the mark, the rebound controlled by the Blue Devils, and a fresh 20. Celeste Taylor didn't play in the first matchup. She's playing today, and she makes a three to get the scoring started.
She was out, of course, for 7 games with injuries. You take a look at the starting lineup for Carolina. We talked about Usby. Kennedy Ty Williams is the other player. Names you need to know. Besides, leading scorer Deja Kelly.
Blue Devils have had a lot of different starting lineups this year due to injuries and COVID protocols, so there's been kind of a cosmic shift at times in these last 2 months of the year. Tar Heels with their first lead as Littlefield connects. Usby outside to Littlefield. Limited time. Oh, missed the chippy. Put back for Poole is good, however.
We were here for their one loss at home this season, of course, against NC State, who they took down to the wire. Nice move.
With a bounce, Kennedy Todd Williams. Off the switch. Short, and the rebound controlled by Akinbody James, and then stolen away. Carolina, 11-3. They're number 6 right now as well. That's a consideration for the selection committee when talking about and thinking about host sites. How about this run? 13-0.
The full student section was all collectively holding their breath, hoping that shot was going in.
Celeste Taylor, she's got all 6 Duke points in the upcoming ACC tournament. Kelly could not finish. And quickly ahead, Lexi Gordon can. Here comes Duke. Tar Heels have missed 8 straight from the floor. Kelly will change that.
Whoa! Look.
Comes Deja Kelly.
Now, when I tell you the whole building, and slow-mo, unfortunately, usually does.
Played for the legend, the late Pat Summitt. And now the head coach for the Duke Blue Devils to start our second quarter. Carolina inside Usby, another bucket. It appeared as if there was an exchange of the game ball happening near midcourt. What did you find out, our investigative reporter?
He doesn't see me out of breath running up and down the stairs.
8-point lead, 1 minute into our second quarter, the final day of the regular season in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Tournament begins Wednesday night. A little up and under, down it goes. Akabati James.
A lot of one-on-one situations. They just have to have more energy in their game, and I think that's with Cheyenne Day Wilson being back in, that's going to help a lot.
Mid-range is there from 16. It's 18-14 now. First basket of the game for the freshman. She was just 3 of 16 in the first meeting between these two. Certainly has an understanding of the rivalry. So does Kennedy Todd Williams. Jalen Murray, Carly Littlefield. Crashing down is Balagoon. She'll put it up and in. Big basket for Duke. Lead down to 6 again. 7 to shoot. Usby and a chance for 3.
The free throw line. To bust up that zone. There she catches it right at the logo. One of the open spots.
Kennedy Todd Williams, an open path off glass. Getting it done. Lead back to 10 just like that, and she's got 7. Sense of urgency for Usby. Hodgson outside of Littlefield. She fell down, and she's got a chance for 4.
Yes, this is a three-point shooting team. You can get hot at any moment, but right now you got to give yourself a chance. Give yourself some easy buckets inside.
Speaking of easy,
they're finding a way.
Under a minute to go. Usby. Patient finish in traffic.
It's a vet move right there.
You should take a look at the game summary there. Basically, all you need to know is this game becomes a must-win to build that resume. Pull inside. Good start for Carolina. The lead swells to 20. Day Wilson lost it. Duke gets it back. There's a mid-range. Lexi Gordon.
See if Deja Kelly can also get hot here in this second half. Could knock down a bunch of shots. Well, that'll help. An assist always gets you going, no matter what.
Final day of the ACC's regular season. These two teams have met 102 times. They've both won 51 games apiece. 42-21. Look at the pass to Poole.
Wow.
Too easy.
2 terrific assists by Deja Kelly. Yeah, they're playing themselves definitely in contention for top 16.
Tar Heels in transition. Usby continues her strong play. 29-point lead. The block by Littlefield. Put back is there. Way to stick with it, Vanessa de Jesus.
You know, come to understand, obviously, with Duke and having to play a lot of minutes as a freshman, perhaps before she was ready, but doing a good job of giving that best effort. And that was great positioning.
Largest win for Carolina in this rivalry goes back all the way to the 1960s. 34-point win. Todd Williams, Anya Poole. She's got 15. 5.5 second differential between the clocks. Littlefield on senior day, yes.
with good reason. They certainly deserved it, but there's so many weapons on this team. They're sharing the basketball. Kelly with another assist.
Jalen Murray on senior day, not healthy, off the bench. 60-27. Why not? Murray going out with a bang. Ever to play in this conference on display. And of course, past episodes also on the ESPN app. For the Tigers back then, Terrell McIntyre, Greg Buckner. I mean, that was a Sweet 16 team that Clemson had in '97. And that's not even the full story of what you're going to see.
Drew Carter, Coach McGraw are in there today. Good run out. A couple of quick scores.
Before this game ever even tipped. And I think you said it earlier, Murray, third field goal, all coming in this fourth quarter. But you mentioned it, Duke's going to have to win the ACC tournament. That's where they are with the resume.
That's certainly a strong field. That's going to be a battle for who wins the ACC championship, I'll tell you that.
Taylor out of the timeout, trains at 3.
To revive this program back to prominence, top 25, perhaps hosting the first round of the NCAA tournament. I mean, you just give her so much credit.
A 26-point lead. 27-point lead. Approaching 2 to go. Freshman for 3, splashes that one home.
When they are on point and can get that type of shot that they want, they're so quick they can get themselves free. And Ty Williams continues to impress, of course. Why not? These are people you go to class with. You know, they're showing up.
Carolina shows up in a big way. 74-46. That ties the fewest amount of points Duke has scored in a game this season.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
COVID Clinic tests everyone. We're best at providing incredible testing that's run by a physician and administered by a healthcare professional. There was a huge need for groups. Employers started sending their people over. So I started saying, if they can't get appointments at the sites and we need more locations, why don't we just go to them? I can go in and I can assess what's happening. There's so many industries that have been impacted, and let's get all that back. COVID Clinic's mission is testing for all. If you need testing, you can get testing. If you need answers, you can get answers.
The Triple B Podcast would like to invite you to come break bread with your brothers. If you like what you're hearing on the show, if you think we missed the mark, or if we got it all wrong, reach out to us on social media. We can be reached on Twitter at triple_B_pod or search Brothers Breaking Bread Podcast. We are the Brothers Breaking Bread on Facebook, and our email is brothersbreakingbreadpod@gmail.com. Further descriptions are in the show notes. Like, follow, friend, do all that good stuff. And please never forget to break bread with your brothers.
How y'all doing? We out here chilling in the spot. What up? How y'all doing? We out here chilling in the spot. What up? How y'all doing? We out here chilling in the spot. How y'all doing? We out here chilling in the spot. What up?
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Brothers Breaking Bread Podcast in the house. Hey.
We're having a little hot button. It'll be good.
Yeah, let's make it happen. Let's not just talk about it. This is a beautiful thing, man. It's all this blackness, and we all just getting together, we playing dominoes, we eating, we drinking. And, you know, food is always just the extra, man. The pride
but make it seem way out of proportion.
We brothers, we breaking bread.
How y'all doing? We out here, chilling in the spot. What up?
Trying to hold it all together, man. Life is moving fast right now, man. So it's good to have everybody come through.
I love that, man. I love it a lot, more than I could say to you guys.
Nikki and myself wanted to extend an invite to Brothers Breaking Bread. I'm sorry, Lady Lavender, I didn't know you was going to be on. I would have extended to you as well. But if you're free Sunday, feel free to stop through. We are unpacking hotels, motels, in this week's episode, Brotels. So I don't know if you all are familiar, but Jasmine Sullivan had an album drop, and we unpacked it with a couple of ladies, and we are unpacking it now from the gentleman's point of view. So we're asking that you listen to the album, get your top 3 tales, your top 3 songs, bring it, and we'll unpack it.
Sports or fighting, I guess same thing. Hey, did y'all see boxing? All of it. Y'all see Juwan out here slapping other coaches?
Yes, he's loud tapping coaches.
All right, here we go. Let's play the video. The ladies may not have seen it.
77 to 63.
Hold on. Why the ladies?
Huh?
Why the ladies? It sounds like the Harvard Yale train going over here. You over here talking about
unlike Lindsey Graham, unlike Lindsey Graham, I immediately said that might be sexist.
They black women? Is that what it is?
Unlike Lindsey Graham, I immediately said that might be sexist of me. Yeah. I said that immediately. Lindsey Graham didn't say, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that," because I did to point them other two niggas.
Go ahead. All right.
I feel you.
You said it.
Yeah, Slippery Slope Joe's here. All right.
77 to 63. And Juwan Howard not going over immediately to shake hands. Now he's going to get in the line. Interesting finish here. 77. Oh, see, and they're going at it. Oh, yeah. Howard and Guard are not happy right now as the two of them continue to have words. We told you Juwan Howard was not happy about that timeout. Juwan Howard just threw a right hand.
Oh,
shit. Scrum. We have a scrum in Madison. Players are pushing and shoving. This is an ugly scene. This is an ugly scene.
Oh, my God. Hey, dog, shout out to the band. Them niggas. Shout out to the band, nigga.
That was like the band on the Titanic.
Yes, discipline. I mean, they finally stopped after they realized probably what was going on with them niggas.
Trying to get separated, and there's no doubt it all stems from the timeout by Greg Gard. Now, that's not an excuse for this, but that is what angered Juwan Howard, and it spilled over.
You know it's bad. You know it's bad when the players got to hold the coach back, dog. That's different level bad. That is.
I like the framing or the how they worded Juwan Howard's suspension, suspended for the rest of the season. For those who don't know, there are like 5 games left in the regular season.
Yeah. That's still significant.
But they're gonna be fine.
I'd like to hear from a high school coach on the issue. Ma'am, how do you feel about Juwan Howard's actions following the game?
I mean, understand. I feel like, I guess it's, I mean, I don't have like testosterone on the levels that guys have, but I feel like, why? What is the purpose? You could have done like so many other different choices, made so many different choices in that situation. And it's also, I mean, I didn't see the game, so I don't know what happened with the timeout, but was it really that serious that you need to come at a dude like that?
The timeout was a situation where Michigan was losing, and there are like unwritten rules about timeouts. Like if you're getting blown out, why the fuck are you, and you're winning? Like if you're winning a blowout game, why the fuck would you take a timeout and prolong the game and, you know what I'm saying, add, salt to a wound, insult to injury?
And
that's what he did.
But at the same, so Wisconsin took a timeout with like 13 seconds left. But
they were up 18, I think, or something.
They were up, like 18, which is not, I mean, it's a big lead, but it's not, huge.
But also Michigan was pressing too, though.
Michigan was pressing.
Yeah.
and Wisconsin had their backups in, and if the backups are in the game, you want the backups to have some success because the backups may be needed at some point. So if you're in a game situation, you take a timeout and make sure you coach them up, coach to the whistle. You know what I'm saying? And so, had Michigan been successful in their press and they were discombobulated without the timeout, it still would have been a dub for Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But
it's a teachable moment, And the thing is, from what I saw, I didn't see the game either. But it looked like Juwan didn't. He just wanted to go to the locker room. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And the who was it? Wisconsin, right?
Well, he said something too, though. He said
Wisconsin coach.
He was trying to
go ahead, him and talk to him about something. He probably was going to try to explain.
What he was talking to him about is Juwan said, "I'm gonna remember that."
Well, I think the coach initially, what happened was that what they were saying, reports came out like, you believe what you want. The Wisconsin coach was trying to explain to Juwan why. That's why he pulled you, because as you saw, Juwan was trying to walk by. The Wisconsin coach was trying to explain to Juwan Howard why he called the timeout. And then Juwan Howard was kind of just like, basically, fuck that. I'm going to remember that. Right.
Because Juwan said, I'm going to remember. Yeah, that's why he tried to stop him.
Yeah. And then Juwan tried to keep going, and then the coach put his hands on Juwan. Yeah. Like he wasn't aggressive.
So my opinion, was Juwan wrong or was Juwan right?
Of course.
I think both of them were wrong. Why you got to try to talk to him in that moment? You could have made a phone call later and been like, hey, dude, this is what was happening. I feel like in a thing like that, to know that it happened like 13 seconds before the game is over, 18, whatever you said, he's still going to be mad about this. Yeah. Like, let him go. He clearly is looking upset, but at the same time, Howard could have made better choices as well and been like, dude, like, it's okay. Let me talk to me later. Like, hey, somebody get this dude because I need him not to be near me right now. Or he could have walked a different way. The whole court is huge. Why you got to walk right by the dude?
Well, it's
the handshake line.
The handshake line. If he didn't want to shake the hands with the coach, he could have walked a different way or waited or something.
Or that's a hard role to play, though, as the head coach of a team. Be like, I'm not going to shake this coach's hand.
Yeah, that's
all of it's bad decisions. All of it is everybody in this situation. Both of these head coaches made bad decisions. And
I think what you were saying about what you're talking about is a choice, and I don't think that's a choice. That's more of an expectation. I think that they're expected to walk through that line, and so for them to avert the line would send a message to the team, would send a message to the public, would send a message to the alumni base.
Players get fried when they don't do that shit. So coaches definitely.
That's what I'm saying. Like you. And it's, again, I'm not somebody who gets angry very easily, so if something bothers me, I usually can, let it go. I would have been like, dude, just let me shake your hand now. I'm going to grimace and, maybe squeeze your hand harder than I need to and keep on going, or maybe I shake your hand limply and keep going. There's other ways that he could have done it to show the sportsmanship, because it sounds like he's mad that this guy didn't show good sportsmanship during the game, and then he turns around and shows poor sportsmanship after the game. So it's like...
That is basically what happened.
How does that work?
But out of all of this... Go ahead. AC.
I was just going to say, I had a conversation about this too this week. It's like, the best example I can come up with in my head is if we're both at work and we just had a quick disagreement and I walk, and I'm going this way and you're going that way, and I have no other choice but to walk past you. I'm like, all right, I'm not talking with you right now. I'm not talking to you. So I'm just going to walk by you and we're just going to keep it moving. And you get in my way and you try to grab me and I try to keep going. What is my reaction going to be?
I feel you.
Get off me.
I feel you. I mean, I don't know the correct answer to that, but then, of course, out of all this, since Twitter never sleeps, somebody, I don't know if it was a Wisconsin fan, or whatever, they pulled up game tape from Juwan Howard's Michigan team when they were up 20 and still pressing late in the game. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
I know they should have pulled up a game tape of Michigan calling the timeout.
That too.
Chris Webber.
That was the first.
But it's definitely that thing. I don't know. I think because I don't know, because I got it here put on the screen. And you can tell Juwan, like we talked about, he's just trying to walk by and shake old boy's hand. Old boy trying to talk to him, and in that moment, it's like, nigga, I'm not trying to talk. Like AC said, I'm not trying to talk to you. I get it.
Talk to you right now.
And in Juwan Howard's mind, he upset that they lost. He probably get old boy just trying to coach up, like Joe said, trying to coach up the bench niggas just in case we need you late in the tournament.
And then, like we all said, you stopped me from moving forward. Now I'm like, okay, nigga, what you want? And like I said, they both were wrong. They both were wrong.
He didn't smack. He didn't put hands on the coach, the dude that was trying to stop him, on the head coach. He
slapped the assistant coach.
Of his assistants.
Yeah.
And I think that was a reaction because when everything kind of broke out, when the pushing and shoving kind of broke out, the assistant came rushing in, and I think he might have pushed. He made some sort of contact with one of the Michigan players.
I think
you know what I'm saying.
I think it was racism.
I think that's when Juwan just kind of snapped.
I got a joke.
And smacked the old boy.
I'm gonna say this.
It's racism. Juwan said,
normally, I'm gonna be all for the black man versus the white man. I'm gonna do that. If it had been me, I'd be fired.
Yeah.
I think it was a fireable offense, man.
I'd be fired if that was me.
Fireable.
I'm glad that he didn't get fired, but I think it was. I think he could have.
The only reason he didn't get fired is because he's Juwan Howard. He's at Michigan. He's at Michigan. He's Juwan Howard.
But I was watching commentary from a lot of these sports.
And what's they ranked though?
And most of them was talking about that it wasn't a fireable offense. And I'm like, how is that not a fire? You can't smack a motherfucking another coach, man. That's so if he would have got fired, I agree with you. That's that's the result of your actions. That's the consequences.
At this point where we are, what caused the smack? Because at that point he had backed up. Then it's like he hit the assistant.
And nothing.
It doesn't matter what causes the smack.
Nothing.
Because
justifies
in the end of the day,
anybody.
End of the day, there's nothing that coach did that justifies, to me, in my opinion, that justifies Juwan Howard, who was the head coach, who was the leader of these young men, and hitting that other coach upside the face. Because then what happens later on if they go later on in the tournament and there's a hard foul and one of his players slap him up upside the face and be like, I learned it from you.
Learned it from you, yeah. And Juwan's not a little guy.
Right. No, he's not a little. No. He's lost weight. He's still big as shit.
Did they give Bobby Knight the same smoke?
No. When did Bobby Knight smack an assistant coach at another team?
Yeah, exactly.
No, he was just throwing chairs across the damn court.
Audience, he's a fuck the crowd.
Yeah, he threw a chair across the court. When did he smack somebody in public?
But we talked about this too, though.
Bobby Knight never did.
But this is a different. Let's not forget he got blackballed from that university.
Yeah. But to me, though, that it's still fruit, but it still apples and oranges, man. And we living in a 24-hour news cycle. Everybody got cameras and shit like that. Mm-hmm. It's just different.
I'll tell you the most comparable one is Woody Hayes at Ohio State.
Ooh, yeah.
I don't know what happened.
That was his last fucking game. He smacked a player on the opposing team, and that was his last game coaching.
Yep. Yep. I mean, to me, you like a player, still bad, but as a head coach, you can't be putting hands on people. That's just bad. Because you are the face of that team.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're the leader of that team.
The leader of that team.
And this is not his first offense at the Big Ten tournament last year.
Right.
Who did he go after last year? Was it?
I don't remember what it was, but I just remember him going the fuck off. He ain't put hands on the dude or nothing, but he was.
But they had to hold him. They had to hold his ass back.
Right. That's
because
they did.
I put the video up in chat, but I don't remember who it was though.
Because here's the thing, though. We just talked about how big he is. That you can tell how much bigger he is than that coach. If he wanted to exit stage left on that nigga, to quote one of my favorite cartoons, cartoon characters, he could have just kept moving. He could have shook that man's hand and be like, knocked his hand off of him and kept him moving to the locker room. And what would have happened is, if that white man wanted to get his point across, it would have been him chasing Juwan Howard, which would have made him look much worse, in my opinion.
Right.
Because Juwan Howard would have shook his hand and be like, okay, and kept it moving.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up idolizing the Fab Five, man. Juwan Howard, Weber, Rose, those are my favorite players, you know what I'm saying? But no, I said them three. I said white man.
Jackson.
I understand that there were five, but those three. That's what I'm talking about.
We know who we came to see.
That's
Fab 3 then.
So anyway, I say what the fuck I feel. How about that?
I said what I said.
No, I want you to say how I feel.
All right, guys. Okay. So I had
the Harvard to Yale train, nigga. Oh, my bad.
Back on that again. Huh?
What you saying, bro? What you saying, bro?
Go ahead, Joe. My bad. Go ahead.
I had Juwan Howard's jersey when he was with the Bullets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, I go back, you know what I'm saying, really liking him. But in this situation, man, he just does not seem mature enough for the role he's in. And
that's what I was gonna say.
That saddens me. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's one thing I wonder sometimes with former athletes who go straight into coaching and maybe haven't gotten mentoring. I mean, you've seen coaches before, but you might not have a mentality to be the coach yourself. Not that all coaches who go into coaching already have that, but he just doesn't seem like he's ready for that kind of role.
And that's not his situation, like, because he was an assistant coach for at least 2 or 3 years with the Heat, with the Miami Heat.
But that was NBA and not college.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying it's not like he didn't have any prior coaching experience. Now, I'm agreeing with everything that y'all saying as far as him not being mature enough for that position. Your actions speak. His actions speak. You know what I'm saying? So I can't deny that. But all I'm saying is that, it's even, I guess it kind of makes it even worse because he does have that experience. He does have some experience in coaching.
At the same time, I feel like, in my mind, going back to like athletic mind, I feel like you should have that kind of self-control as an athlete, and that should transfer over. I mean, maybe in his athletic time, he was like, if somebody fucks with me, I'm gonna punch him in the face. But I don't remember him doing that a whole lot. So I feel like maybe there's more passion and he's got more drive now because he's coaching this team, and this guy just
he was always a passionate kind of dude. Like I don't remember him getting into a bunch of physical altercations and shit while he was playing, but he always had that face, and you know what I mean. He always had that type of energy. So
yeah, I mean, his expressions are very outward, but yeah, I don't remember but then again, I don't remember none of them niggas like getting into all out brawls and shit like that for the most part.
I feel like I remember him being on the bench when some shit pop off in the NBA game, and he'll be standing right like Damon say, standing there right there in the shadows, waiting for a nigga to fuck up.
It's ready to go. Yeah, it's right. That's what I'm saying. He always kind of had that energy about him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I think it's like I feel like I get it how he got so angry, because even thinking back to times I've coached and I haven't coached a team sport with timers like this, but even situations where a kid might not qualify and it was a stupid reason, or somebody said something that happened on the track or anything like that. So I understand that passion of you're messing with my kids and I'm gonna be really mad about this. But again, it's you make better choices. You breathe, you figure out something else, you tell your assistant coach, let me just sit here for just 3 more seconds and then I'm gonna get up and shake his hand. Something there's just other choices to make.
Right.
Yep.
You know what?
You're against that.
Let's hear from Juwan.
Looked like you hit another coach in the face. What kind of happens in between to make that happen?
Well, basically, I addressed with the head coach that I will remember that because of that timeout, and for someone to touch me, and I think that was very uncalled for them to touch me as we were verbalizing and communicating with one another. So that's what ended up happening. And that's what escalated.
Yeah, he's not mature enough. Yeah. He's not mature enough for that role.
He touched me in the handshake line.
Damn. And so you saw he addressed what the head coach did. He didn't address what happened with the assistant coach, the one he actually slapped. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And also, it's a 27-second clip, but yeah, I agree with you. The maturity.
Yeah, I mean, I think he had a really good season last year. I think they made the Elite Eight. When they announced, I grew up, my mom's from Michigan. Again, just in case I didn't know, she turned 80 the other day. But she's from Michigan, so I grew up being a Michigan fan. You know what I'm saying? Michigan football, Michigan basketball. You know what I'm saying? Mizzou was my number 1 team, but my number 2 team was Michigan. And so, you know what I'm saying? I rooted heavily for him to get back into that position. And I mean, I still think he can do great things there. Hopefully he learns from this. Hopefully this is the call he needs. Because I know that I haven't always been completely mature and everything. I did something stupid today. I'm not.
Do tell.
I'm not gonna close it on the podcast.
You missed something on the check-in.
That is so stupid today. But the point I'm making is that hopefully he'll learn from this because I do think he can recruit there.
Yeah,
I do think he's obviously got some passion. I think that's gonna work for the players. And I think he knows basketball, and he knows Michigan basketball. So I think he can definitely make it work there. He can't let this happen again.
Right. Or really, even like what he did last season,
Yeah,
he needs to. Yeah, he got it. He really needs to just, be mindful of, what he's doing, man.
Personal note to the story. Oh, you got something, Anna? Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Personal note to the story. I was texting back and forth with my assistant coach last year, former Olympian Mona Lee. She's now in the Wisconsin athletic department. She was supposed to be at the game, and I might have broke the news to her. I sent her the link because we were talking about something else. And she acted like she didn't know what I was talking about, so I sent her the link. She said, "Yeah, I was supposed to be at the game, and now I'm on Facebook blowing up." But I think whatever her electronic ticket didn't work, so she didn't. I was like,
"Oh wow!"
I was like, "If you'd been there, you'd have been having punched Juwan Howard in the face." What do you feel about that?
Strong.
She missed the ringside seats, man.
Yeah. So anyway.
Strong. But yeah, man. Hopefully he gets his team together. Yeah, these tabs are out of order. Back in, I guess it's kind of fuckery though. Park Hill school teacher who said the N-word, nigger, to a student will retire after threat of firing. We'll get into the story, but I'm always amazed when people be like, is there a white word? We can say redneck, but not the N-word. And I'm like, the fact that you couldn't say the word you wanted to say lets you know how powerful that word is. Anyway, Park Hill School District official told a high school teacher they were beginning the process of terminating him. He submitted his retirement the same day. Get them benefits. Benefits. The teacher was placed on the...
This is growth. So teaching is now on par with policing, because police can do the same thing, right? Instead of getting fired, they just put you on administrative DD or retire. This is growth.
Right.
Yeah.
Yay, teachers. We might get immunity for stuff now too, or something.
Mm-hmm. So y'all go to y'all classrooms and just call y'all students a bunch of niggas.
Just retire.
Yeah.
And just retire.
You can't say niggas though. You gotta say
Yeah, I need you to go in there and make a bunch of racial slurs and then retire, nigga.
My pension ain't built like that.
Joe said, not yet.
Your checking is safe.
See, the way my checkings and savings is set up.
Does it say how old he is? Or how long he's been teaching?
Well, they got the video. Do you see the video?
Is it down? Is it in here?
If that's the link I sent. Oh, maybe it ain't the link I sent.
You know what? I had to look. The one you sent was the Kansas City Star link, and that shit. They don't want to
share the video. Hold on.
Share the video.
Let's share the video. Let's check that out.
See right here. Okay. Ooh, there we go.
Yep, that's it.
There we go. Wow, why is it so big?
Video is unavailable.
The fuckery.
Why is it so big though?
Why does the font look like it's on an old
What is that? A teacher or a kid? This nigga look 40.
But it's the bald head dude.
I know it's the bald head dude. Yeah, but I'm saying, but this nigga he might be a teacher's aide.
He could be. Who knows? He might be a student teacher. Who knows?
I don't know. I don't know what this white man said, but I definitely know by this ass picture.
Scared as hell.
This nigga, he's not scared. He's hot.
No, he didn't. He's not scared at all. He does not agree with this white man is saying.
Yeah.
He's about to Mr. Howard him.
As a nigga, alumni of Blue Valley North, I have had this look on my face a few times. Like what? What y'all saying?
Nah, he definitely was thinking. He was thinking in his head, should I knock this nigga out? That's definitely was crossing through his mind.
Oh my, he was damn near the whole school year.
I didn't know this. So the student was suspended for 100+ days.
The kid was fucking. I'm telling you, The kid was threatening to knock him out, man.
Repeatedly using the N
But he
word.
handled himself very well. I mean, even because the teacher kept escalating him, he handled his shit. He
The
did a
student
good
can be
job.
seen in the video demanding that the teacher stop using the
I
word.
think he Juwan Howard that situation.
Don't put in your sentences to which
Yeah,
white
must not
responds
seen the
well.
video
You
I
put
saw.
in yours.
Wait, let me go back and revisit.
I don't know. I think that the teacher was Juwan Howard. He escalated this shit.
No. The teacher was the Wisconsin coach.
How? You're the older person with an 18-year-old or a 17-year-old.
Listen. I don't know if y'all saw the video. I saw the video. I'm telling you that the kid said the N-word as black kids sometimes do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And the teacher repeated it.
Okay.
And that set him to fuck off. You know what I'm saying?
But
then the teacher's in his face, and the teacher got his hands on his chest, just like the Wisconsin coach did. And he's trying to. I'm not saying he's de-escalating, but I don't think that he is. You know what I'm saying? Like flexing. I don't think he's about to. You know what I'm saying? But he's not backing down either. You know what I'm saying? But the kid is. He's real life trying to figure out whether or not he's going to fight this teacher.
So the older person failed in this video. What you're telling me?
The older person failed, yes. But I'm saying to you, the kid also crossed the line.
So the older, mature person supposed to be older and mature failed.
As in the Wisconsin with Michigan situation.
So
those people failed.
those are not the same thing. Those are two old men who failed. The older person who's supposed to be more mature failed.
They both failed. Everybody failed.
But it's not equal. It's a kid.
It ain't got to be equal. They both failed. I don't care.
I guess. So the person who's supposed to be reasonable, responsible, failed.
Nigga, they all
Can you explain it to me a little bit more, bro?
The kid could have made better choices. The kid should know not to be stepping to a teacher. What kid knows?
Everybody knows
like
this.
that?
Okay, okay. I guess the two teachers.
Everybody failed.
Okay.
It's possible.
Okay.
So hold on, bro, because I haven't seen the video and I still ain't seeing nothing on my phone. So you said that the kid looked like he's thinking.
Not looked like, he said. He said he's about to fucking hit him.
Oh, okay. He said that he's about to hit him.
Yes.
So he said, but he asked the white teacher not to do it?
The teacher failed. The teacher fucking failed. The kid could have reacted differently.
I'm just saying that. I asked a simple question. So the kid asked the white teacher not to do it.
Roger, can I go?
I just asked a simple question that you didn't answer.
Bet and ran to the office and told the administration what happened. The kid did not do that. The kid was in the guy's face, threatening violence. They both failed.
Okay.
Do you think that, in your opinion, does the kid's action warrant a 180 something day suspension?
100 plus days. Yes. I don't know.
30 in the teacher. Yes, I do.
30 in the teacher. Okay.
But then also, I think the teacher deserved to be fired. So.
Mm-hmm.
This is the same. Remember this? Two things can't be true, right? Y'all remember that, right?
So this is the same.
I remember, but
the teacher retired instead of getting fired.
So instead of getting fired, the teacher was allowed to retire.
Right. Okay.
So if
the teacher had an out, but the kid doesn't have an out.
So if a kid said something,
absolutely, he had more power than the kid had.
Right.
So I guess I'm trying to figure out. So if a kid said something, nigga, and then you said nigga as a white teacher, and then the kid said don't say that, but you keep repeating it, you think this equal?
Hold on, pause. Where do you say you kept repeating it, man?
They even the black student says because I'm black, to which the white teacher responds that's logical. But then they said
he repeated.
But they never said that the teacher kept saying it over and over and over again.
I watched the video. He didn't.
I'm asking because
he may have said it twice. He may have said it twice.
All I'm saying, I can't find the video, my nigga. In the report, it's saying that the teacher repeated it. That's why I'm saying that.
I'm reporting.
I get it. I get that you're reporting it, but you asked me why I said that, nigga, because that's what the report says.
Okay. I'm telling you, they both failed.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. Tell you. The kid was basically threatening violence against an adult in the building. That's a problem. He could have made another choice. He could have gone and reported it to the administration, and old buddy would have had no recourse.
Does the school have a policy
other
against
than to retire?
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting, man. I don't. I don't know. That's a mild suspension, but I mean, I understand. You know, I definitely understand the seriousness of threatening violence against a teacher. You know, you can't allow and have that. But it's not like it wasn't. I don't. You know, once again, I didn't see the video, so I hesitate to really. You know.
I don't know. I live in that environment. I don't know what y'all. Ada, how do you feel about them? Somebody threatening violence against a teacher, even if the teacher's wrong?
No, that should never be okay.
Never be okay.
I would never want that, because if that happens and the kid is not reprimanded in a strong way, other kids are going to start doing stuff, or that kid comes back and does something. No.
Hold on. Let me ask this question. Let me finish my line of questioning. Ada, if they were to threaten violence against a teacher, do you think 180 days would be an appropriate punishment?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Okay.
They can go to. There's alternative schools they can go to when there's suspensions like that.
Absolutely. Okay.
They have specific places to send kids for stuff like that. So he's still in school.
To challenge that, could they appeal that within their function?
The kid?
Yes.
Yeah. Because my question also was like, I wonder if this kid has like 504 IEP stuff or something going on with him that makes him be able, or makes him react to that kind of.
Hold on.
Oh, so like if he has like special needs in any kind of way, or like has anger management issues, or has something going on, because to snap like that, although I guess my thing also is like kids now are seeing people snap at people for saying nigga or nigger on Snapchat and on Instagram all the time. So why wouldn't he think he could step to somebody who says this? Right. People throw like fucking iced tea cans at people's heads for shit like that. So I don't know.
I will add though, other students reported that this teacher has said the N-word numerous times and also has made racist jokes about Asian people.
Absolutely.
Oh,
he deserved to go.
So I'm saying maybe that kid was. We're all making assumptions about this kid having disciplinary actions. So maybe this. I'm just saying.
Nobody said anything. We're saying the teacher did wrong too. The teacher has said
I know. I'm just going off what you just said, where the kid may have other IPA issues.
To be suspended.
Okay, I feel you. All I'm saying is, someone asked why that kid might react that way. Maybe he's in the classroom when this white man made other jokes too. Also, that's all I'm saying.
I mean, I don't, guys. This isn't basketball where the travel happened and everything else subsequent to that doesn't fucking count. Like the foul didn't happen because the travel was first, or the foul was on the floor. No, that's not. This is not basketball. This is fucking real life.
I get it's real life. Then that kid might be facing real life where he in his classroom with this white man talking about Asian people eating cats and call somebody else a nigga.
He definitely.
But when things like that happen, like I've had kids come to like the office or come to me to tell me basic shit like, oh, the teacher is not letting us get passes. The teacher is not doing this or that. The teacher told me a story about this. The teacher just talked about this in class. The kid all of those kids should have been reporting this, and that kid should have been reporting it. There's other steps. Like if a teacher is repeatedly saying that, why is that okay? I didn't read it to see if he was reprimanded other times or if the kids were telling him that. But if kids now in like February are like, yeah, the teacher's been saying this for months, all year, the teacher's been doing it. Even last year he was doing this. Like all of them could have made better choices too, and like told somebody.
And I'm glad.
Roger, let me.
I was about to say before, and I'm about to say, I'm glad you and Joe are trustworthy people that your students can turn to. Unfortunately, and hopefully, maybe Park Hill will have those same teachers there they can turn to.
Yeah, Park Hill's not having a good track record with things. But let me ask this, Roger. Let's say you got a doctor. Doctor's an asshole. And doctors sometimes are assholes, correct?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got it.
And sometimes you might encounter a doctor that's a racist asshole. And if a doctor has been a racist asshole all year, and then he lets his true feelings out because, I don't know, he's in the heat of the moment, whatever, and he says nigga in your presence, and you decide to challenge him in the operating room, wherever you at, you know what I'm saying, and you threaten to fire off in his face,
well,
do you expect to keep your job?
Well, you talking about 44-year-old Roger that knows that I'm an adult and that I can also meet you outside by your car?
Every kid in school knows you can't hit a teacher.
Nigga, I'm 44 years old. Dog, if 18-year-old Roger will fuck a motherfucker up, bro. 44-year-old Roger who got 6 kids will not fuck a motherfucker up. It's different, not the same question.
Do you expect to keep your job? 18-year-old
Roger probably would have fucked that man up. 44-year-old Roger who has much more responsibility. You're not asking the same question.
Would you expect to keep your job? I'd ask whether you hit him.
Once again, 44-year-old Roger, 20 years in the military. I know how to get a motherfucker that nobody would know. To answer your question,
That's
bro.
like a Juwan Howard answer. Go
I'm
ahead.
just saying. No. I'll be like, no, it's not Juwan Howard ass question. I'll be like, noted. I'll see your ass in the parking lot, my nigga, and you won't even see it coming. To answer your question, bro.
There you go.
No, but that wasn't a question though, Roger. He asked, would you, if you reacted in a certain way, would you?
But I'm saying 40. To answer his question,
whether you're 18 or whether you're 44,
it makes a difference if you're 18 or 44. It does. Yeah,
no, I'm saying, but if you reacted, not saying that that's how you would do it. If you reacted a certain way,
but that part,
whether you're 18
Zeb,
or 44,
I hear what you're asking me, but it's a difference. The way I was at 18, the way I was at 30 ain't the same way I'm at 44. It does make a difference to how I react to things. I know how y'all want to yada the age.
They're saying like if you reacted the way this kid reacted.
Yeah, you're focusing on right.
You want to yada the kid's responsibility. The kid knows.
I'm not yada the kid's responsibility. I'm not yada the kid's responsibility. Okay. Y'all right.
Kids know not to fight with each other. They know way better than to step to
y'all right. That kid should have known. He shouldn't have reacted that way. Y'all have baptized me in the fire. Can we move the fuck on? Thank you.
Yada.
No. Y'all right. That kid. Matter of fact, that kid should got 200 days. Fuck it. Ohio pastor is associates accused of.
He probably has 180.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he's probably a horrible kid. He's probably a horrible.
180.
He's probably a horrible nigger student. Let's move on. Ohio pastor and his associates accused of horrific abuse of his 19 nieces and nephews in cult-like church. Okay.
I don't know. I'm still digesting the last story. I didn't catch the headline.
I don't know. They probably deserve it too. Ohio pastor and his associates accused of horrific abuse of his 19 nieces and nephews in cult-like church.
What is the horrific abuse?
I know. I was going to move on.
It was.
Go ahead.
I'm not saying nothing.
No, go ahead. Oh, my bad. Go ahead, 10.
What I was gonna say is when I read, it was more of like incestual.
Incest and sexual assaults.
Yeah, sexual assault and there against these young women in this cult that's ran by their uncle slash pastor.
That's fucked up.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Who are those people in that hoodie right there? I can't tell the two people in the back.
Looks like
Big Pun, Big L, Easy E, Tupac and Big.
Big, yep.
Okay. Oh, okay. I see him on the right side. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. In the 22-page civil suit filed February 21st in Cincinnati federal court, Sarah Beller says her parents mandated all their 18 biological children and one adopted child attend their uncle's Dove Outreach Church in Waverly, Ohio, reported Justin Rolich. This cult-like church is owned, operated, and ministered by defendant James Beller, the brother of defendant Robert Beller. The suit states, defendant James Beller preaches that siblings are meant to procreate with one another. Okay.
There we go.
What the fuck?
And there we go.
Where you say this is at? You said Ohio?
Yes, sir.
Waverly,
Cincinnati.
Ohio.
Wow.
Well, Cincinnati is a federal court, so what'd you say? Ohio.
Waverly, Ohio.
Beverly, Ohio. There we go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
bad. Oh shit. This video is supposed to go with Juwan Howard.
No, come on, wait to the no.
That's a badger trying to get in this house. For y'all that don't know Wisconsin. For the listeners, Wisconsin
Yes,
badger.
I got you.
Hell no, come on, wait to the no. Come on. Hell to the no. To the no. Come on.
Oh.
To the no.
I don't know what that white man did, but
we don't need no stinking badges.
Hey man, I don't know a more appropriate way to close out Black History Month. This is the last episode before Black History Month ends, but I found it. all you motherfuckers. Hold on, we ain't done.
Everybody involved in this shit.
Did y'all see how high he jumped up?
We gonna get them motherfuckers some free crack, cause Dr. King got his own holiday. Free crack. Free. Man, ain't nothing free around here. Like, I got the soul. What the fuck we gonna make it free? I got it. Look. Since we got such big hearts, we give away free crack rocks to the person that can do the best through it. Hell yeah!
You the best what?
Hold on.
Oh, there's more?
The best thriller. Hold on, so they talking about the best thriller.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about this.
Okay. That's it right here.
These niggas out here pop locking for crack rocks.
I want to kill everybody. I want to kill.
The best thing is the nigga in the background, the commentary from nigga in the background talking about he won't kill everybody involved in this movie.
Kill everybody involved with it.
That's a lot. That's
That's way too much. That's too much shit going on right there.
All right, happy Black History Month, y'all.
Oh shit.
We should have used that during the sellout episode.
I know.
Roger, you gonna get a box like that dude right there? That box wig?
I plan on it. I plan on
For
it.
your head? Your bald head?
Wow. I'm gonna get matching one for you. We can be fucking pop locking for crack rocks. Oh shit. All right, man. The tabs have been tabulated, man. Any caveats out there? I guess the silence. The silence.
I have a source in my side eye.
Did y'all talk about the motherfuckers in the George Floyd case?
Yep.
Yeah.
Word.
Yep.
Source in my side eye. One of my teachers at school decided to quit, and so now on Monday I have to start teaching 2 new classes. Yay. And he was like the worst teacher probably ever that I've ever seen teach. Like horrible, like no classroom management, no anything. And so these kids have been in class since August until now March, not knowing how they're supposed to act in class, and now I get to teach them starting Monday. I'm excited.
That sounds like
they picked the right one for the job.
Yes, they did.
They'll be fine. Once they're in my class, it'll be cool. The fact that this dude just quit and wasn't going to tell anybody was really something.
You got
we had
right one, baby.
We had one of those this year, too.
Do you get compensated for that?
So since I teach and coach, I only teach 2 classes right now anyway, so it's really not that hard, but it's like the worst of the worst, not the worst of the worst kids, just kids who haven't
Just the situation,
had any structure for many years, and that'll just be different.
But here's the thing, they're also craving structure.
Oh yeah, they totally are. Like I talked to one of the kids came in my room at the end of the day today and was like, man, I'm so happy we have another teacher. Like he just doesn't teach, and we just can't learn, and we've been in there since August or since September, I think she said, even though she doesn't know when school started. But whatever, yeah, they want it for sure.
Yeah.
And I've observed those same kids in other classes, and they do much better in there. So it's just a matter of letting them know. In social studies, you can have structure too. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right.
Well, good luck to you.
It's interesting that you said that Joe said they're craving structure. What you said, because I remember when I was I went to Metro Tech my freshman and half of my sophomore year, and I didn't even remember this, but once my mom reminded me, I remember it. I guess after my freshman year, we were talking about the school year or whatever, and I was just like, I felt like I didn't learn anything. Because Metro Tech was just wild.
Yep.
And that's what she made up her mind at that point, that she was going to do whatever she could to get me to a better school. She tried to get me in Pembroke, but we didn't, Pembroke cost money. And I didn't qualify for the scholarship, but I was able to get into Lincoln. So, I wouldn't have just Joe saying that immediately, I was like, damn, that's an interesting perspective. You know what I'm saying? That's, just to know, just to intuit. I guess not intuit it, you experience it, so you know it. You know what I'm saying? But I wouldn't even, thought about that in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so hopefully you bring it to them, man, and they can learn something.
Oh, well, it's already been brought.
Yeah. No doubt.
All right. Anyone else? All right, man. We did it.
But Roger, what I'm saying though, Roger, if you was 18, do you think that you would get fired?
If I was 18, I'd cuss all you niggas out. But anyway.
On your way to get your last check, nigga.
Oh, but if I was 18, I wouldn't give a fuck. I'm getting another job. Because 18, you wouldn't even think about it. You'd be like, fuck it. I get another job. Fuck these white motherfuckers. Anyway.
I got you.
But
that dude's a middle-aged white man. He's going to get another job somewhere. It's going to be all right.
Don't let this lively debate get it wrong. The podcast history lets you know how much I respect the profession of teaching, respect these two people, what they do for the community, what they do for these children. We talk about soldiers, man, but teachers are on the front lines every day with these young minds. So never let it get it twisted, this lively debate of how we feel about educators, especially the educators on this podcast, and it's the educators worldwide and what they do for our community. So salute.
And
I did have my first classroom fight of the year this week.
Oh, no. Yeah, you told me. Yeah.
It was interesting. So there was these two girls in class. One girl literally hasn't been in class but 2 days this semester since January. The other girl's here all the time. And the girl just happened to come back on Wednesday. Let's call her T. So T comes back, and I have like a seating chart for the kids. And I didn't know these kids have beef, and they actually sit in the same row with each other. And this is the day that the counselors are coming to pull kids one at a time to make their schedules for next year. And so T goes out with the counselor. C is like, at some point later, T's been gone for maybe 10, 15 minutes. C is like, can I go to the bathroom? And I was like, cool, yeah, whatever, I didn't know these kids have beef. A few moments later, all of a sudden my student teacher's at the door, and she I suddenly hear her pulling a kid, and I hear these kids talking, and she pulls C inside the room and locks the door behind her because T had apparently swung at her and tried to attack her in the hallway and all these things. I was like, this is ridiculous. But thankfully my room is right across the hallway from assistant principal. And they were out there in the hallway. We have hallway monitor people on all the floors, and two of them happened to be out there. So it wasn't anything harsh or crazy. But I did have a good conversation with C afterwards about choices and also how you get home, because this was 10 minutes before school got out, and I was like, how do you get home today? Are you going to be okay? Is there beef? Do you guys have other classes together? How are we going to resolve this? And her helping her friends help her to figure out what to do. So it was cool. C was back in class today, so I don't know. I guess she was not suspended, but the other girl was. Yeah, good times teaching.
Lovely. Yay! I guess the overall theme of this podcast, whether it be Russia and the Ukraine, a black student and a white student, a white teacher, Juwan Howard, and conflict resolution.
I thought you were going to say, I thought that the main theme was war is the answer.
War is the, oh no, to me.
Is it good?
Yeah, somebody at work, somebody.
Out. Say it again.
I don't know what movie I heard it from. Somebody at work was like, Roger, violence isn't the answer. I said, you're right. Violence is the question, and the answer is always yes. Anyway,
I won't follow that, but I like that.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend it, especially as a 44-year-old Roger, 18-year-old Roger, indeed. But all right, man, it's time to get out of here, man. Thank you all for your time. Miss Kim, thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting us on to your podcast once again, enlighten the people to your podcast.
All right, Psychology of the Hustle. We are on all major platforms, and it is as it sounds, Psychology of the Hustle. And thank y'all for having me. It's been a joy.
Anytime, you know that. Once you come, don't stay away. Here we are.
Shoot us that link, and we'll put it in the show notes.
Sure enough. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. All right, man. Time to get out of here, Lady Lavender. Slim AC. Zeb the Soldier came in late, but he always here. 10 meters. Half of the Buzz of Doom, Joe Jeff. I'm the KC Stork. Triple B Podcast, Brothers Breaking Bread. Never, ever, ever, ever miss a moment to break bread with your brothers and your sisters. We out. I was wondering, he got quiet?
I'm right here, bro.
Oh,
I thought that it was him saying that he was gonna fight everybody. I didn't know that was in the video. So when you said that was in the video, I was like, oh damn.
Yeah, that's the dude who put it up on Twitter. I think it's his. I don't know if it's just Jay Washington Cat or just something he found. But yeah, the nigga who's like put it up on Twitter. He's doing the commentary in the background, and it's so funny. He's like, I'm gonna fight. He just keeps saying, I'm gonna fight everybody. I'm gonna kill everybody. So we gotta watch this. I don't want to give Joe nightmares from watching my side piece. But yeah, we're gonna have to break bread and watch this motherfucker together.
That's what it do.
Yeah, and for people out there, my side piece starring Mystical. Go ahead and watch that. Put that. I don't know if you can,
Mystical.
If you can find it, yes, Mystical
is
the
like
rapist.
some newer or old shit?
It's an older one. It's like.
It's an older. Really? Oh, I think I might have seen that.
It might have been right when he got out of jail.
My favorite scene.
They should have known not to make it.
It's a movie. Yes.
So many people should have known to edit it and just scrap the whole thing.
The beauty of it. It's so beautiful. Yeah. What you about to say, Joe?
My favorite scene was them niggas was walking on the beach and motherfucker had on socks. And then he didn't have no socks on.
I did see this motherfucker.
and then he had socks back on again.
Yes, I did see that.
Anthony, you saw it. You saw that movie.
The whole movie, Mystical is just sweating. That's all I know. Outside, inside, in the car, nigga, he's just sweating. That's all I know. He owed child support. That too. That's all I know.
Oh shit.
And he's a convicted rapist who's a cop in the movie. That's all I know. Too. It makes sense when I think about it.
Wow.
What kind of bullshit is this?
No, it's so bad it's entertaining. Me and Lady Lavender, I think we watched it at least 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2016 is when this came out?
Yes,
or was
man. Look at you doing the research. You put that in.
2016. So if you think about it, they were editors in 2016. They were cinematographers in 2016. They were people who picked actors. So they could have chosen not to have Mr. Cal in this movie. There were so many places that.
But all those people cost money.
Yeah.
All those folks cost money, and this is done for the low.
Hey,
it was very much.
All I'm gonna say is probably the worst explosion scene I've ever seen in the movie.
First and foremost, Dewey Allen, who is the producer, is from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So what he did was he brought the Louisiana crew together so they could generate funds for the region. Y'all are missing the bigger picture.
Kim, I need you dudes take a hit of your peace pipe.
Made a bigger picture.
Take a hit of your peace pipe before you get into the bed tonight. Go ahead and lock that in.
What is the name of this shit again?
My side piece.
It's called my side piece.
Yeah. Wow. Think about all the money saved. All the money saved in editors and production assistants, writers, and all that shit that could recycle back into the community.
It clearly went to the community and not to anything in the movie.
Hey, absolutely. Yeah, but hold on. Side note: the dude who sings the song "My Side Piece," which is actually a song, they coming to Kansas City this weekend. I heard on the radio, nigga. I was like, what?
Did they say the people from My Side Piece?
Huh? No, it's just
from My Side Piece.
No, it's just they said the dude's name, but they had the song "My Side Piece." I was like, wait a minute, nigga. I said the nigga from the movie coming. Yeah.
If you can, you should definitely get on YouTube and watch at least the trailer.
Yeah.
Watch the trailer.
If you can find it.
It's on the Tubi, okay?
It's on Tubi now? They moving up.
Tubi.
Because when we saw it, we had to download a separate app just to watch it.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Yeah. But if it's on Tubi, hey, salute. They moving up. They making money now.
Okay, wait a minute. Now, was it the side piece or the side piece lotto? Because they done came out with another version.
Oh shit! I don't know about that. It wasn't no lotto. It wasn't no lotto. It was just My Side Piece.
Okay.
It should be Mystical frowning in a fucking security officer suit, but he's supposed to be a cop.
Didn't that motherfucker just say, it said like on the badge it said like straight police?
It said police, nigga, just police.
It indicate what city he served.
No
in.
city. He didn't have no last name on his other chest plate, nigga. It was just my police, and you knew it was Mystical.
Those kinds you had when you were like 7 when you played.
So them
Cops
niggas costume budget was at Party City.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Salvation Army.
I don't even know if it was Party City. It was probably like those places that are only open on Halloween and then are closed like after that.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. All I'm saying is, y'all need to. I don't know. Like, whenever we do this fucking get together, we should probably watch it again and just do that. That's the podcast, nigga.
I feel like we need to watch this Martin Luther King crack movie. Free crack.
Yeah, no, we need to. It needs to happen. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna get off of here. Just that time.
Free crack. MLK's holiday.
The nigga got his own holiday. Anyway.
Ain't nothing free. Who can do the best Thriller dance?
The best Thriller dance.
Oh my God, free crack. Hey man, but thank y'all, man. And I'ma holler.
All right.
Y'all be safe. Yep.
All right.
Out.
Yeah.
Break bread with your brothers whenever possible.
Progressive presents Forced Metaphors about bundling your home and auto.
In sports, 3 goals is a hat trick. And when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, you get a hat trick of great savings and round-the-clock protection. So you might be thinking, wait, that's 2 things. A hat trick is 3. But in this metaphor, great savings counts as 2 goals, and so does round-the-clock protection. So it's like 4 goals, and that's more than 3. It's basic math.
Forced Metaphors. Presented by Progressive. Bundle and protect today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Hello and welcome to the Glitch Slap podcast. I am Lloyd and I'm joined by Mel and Ross. How are we both?
I'm very happy to be back because we missed one last week, but yeah, I'm really been excited. I've been looking forward to this all day. So
I couldn't be any worse than I was last week, so I'm much better.
Yeah, Ross was poorly last week. Then I was poorly like late before. It was going to be a me and Mel show, like a Mel and I show, and then and then I was poorly as well. So yeah, Mel could have done a solo one. I reckon people would quite enjoy an hour of Mel discussing her McDonald's order. To be honest.
Just my rambling.
Yeah, I played this on Game Pass this week, and this, and this, and this. I'd listen to it.
Pretty much.
I mean, I'd be editing it as well, but yeah, good to be back though, guys. And just before we kind of get into the episode proper, we're gonna have a cheeky bonus episode this week with myself and a couple of guests talking Destiny 2 Witch Queen nonsense. And the reason we've done that is because I don't want Ross and Mel to fall asleep while I'm talking about Destiny. So there will be an extra episode, lucky us, later on this week. Not entirely sure when that'll go up, but hopefully by the weekend with a couple of guests. So look forward to that in your podcast feed. And hopefully that'll make up for the fact that we didn't get to provide you with our excellent entertainment, our dulcet tones last week. But what have we been playing, guys?
Well, do you want me to go first?
I mean, Ross's list is blank because he's been poorly, so it's probably best.
So for me, Kingdom Hearts 3, I decided to give that a go. I've not played any Kingdom Hearts game for a very long time, so
wow,
that's been fun.
Have you learned the power of friendship yet?
I have always known the power of friendship, so it's not teaching me anything else I didn't already know. No, it's really lovely, and I'm a bit of a weird Disney person, not in the sense that, like, I have Mickey Mouse stuff around my house, but like I really like Disney World, like it's my favourite place ever. So it's nice. Also played a little bit of Alan Wake, bit spooky. I like that, and obviously these are all off Game Pass because Game Pass queen. Just absolutely love it. I also played a really random one. I was really hungover on Sunday. Like, you know, you just got really bad beer fear and you just feel awful. And just started playing this game called, I'm going to try and pronounce it, Danganronpa. And it's like a Japanese game.
Yeah, I remember the first time I tried to pronounce that and I butchered it, so you did well there.
Oh, buzzing. First time I've ever pronounced anything properly. So I played that for about maybe 4 hours and I really, really liked it because it was just, it's linear and it's not open world and I don't have to like worry about my next mission. It's just kind of there for you. So while I was hungover, that was a nice bit of escapism. And then on my Switch, I've been playing a bit of Crash Bandicoot. You know, the trio, I want to say.
The Insane Trilogy.
That's the one. Thank you. You're just encyclopedic with your gaming knowledge. It's insane. Just been playing a bit of that.
You, I haven't learned the power of friendship, so that's why.
I've stayed away from Cuphead because I found out that you have to finish every boss with the normal difficulty, not easy mode, before you can take on the devil. So I've fucked it off now. I'm never doing it. I'm not going back and doing it all again. It can go fuck itself. I'm really annoyed.
Well, it's a good.
But so yeah,
I was gonna say it's a good job. There's no big difficult games coming out at the moment that we.
We'll talk about that later.
Ross, have you been playing anything, or have you just been sick as a dog essentially?
I haven't played anything. I did watch a lot of Counter-Strike over the weekend. The playoffs of IEM Katowice, which were incredible. I think it actually broke a record for the final, which was the most viewed CSGO match that wasn't a major ever. The final was absolutely incredible. It went 3 maps, ridiculous amounts of overtime on the second map, and it ended up in a 3-0 sweep where G2 ended up losing across those 3 maps. A total of they had a deficit of 6 rounds total, so it was incredibly close, and I felt very, very sorry for them. But really, really good final between FaZe and G2. So some really good games beforehand. I thought the way Navi handled themselves was incredible, given everything that's going on. Simple's sort of speech before the playoffs kicked off was really, really good. And it was just nice to escape a little bit into some Counter-Strike. So yeah, I watched that. Other than that, I haven't really played anything for the last couple of weeks. I played about an hour of Counter-Strike myself, and then realised no, I like watching it. I don't like playing it anymore. So that was about it.
Wow, that feels like quite a realisation. Kind of like just coming to the point where you're just like, do you know what? It's not for me.
I haven't really played it for a couple of years now. I'm not a very nice person when I play Counter-Strike. It just makes me very angry. I'm not as good as I want to be, so it just makes me angry.
It's frustrating. Yeah, I kind of get that. Yeah, get that with the game we'll talk about later. For me, I've been playing Destiny 2, but I'll kind of cover that in the next episode. But the key thing is that the Witch Queen expansion is like, it's made Destiny 2 the best it's been since the game launched in 2017. So feels like I'm in a really good place, and I just want to absorb all that story and all those characters now. I'm really in a quite a loving relationship with Destiny again. We're going steady again. And then I've also been playing Horizon Forbidden West, which is excellent. It's incredible. I don't know if you guys played the first Horizon at all.
Are you getting annoyed by the conversation in
Yes. It? Oh my god, yes.
Yeah. I've heard this off a few people.
So, like, Aloy just does not shut up. Like, I don't mind her as a character. Like, I think she's a cool character, but it's just like you'll be aiming to shoot at something, and she'll go, "I think I need to shoot this," and you're like, "What do you think I'm doing?" And like, and she's just like, she over tutorializes everything. Like, she's constantly telling you what to do, which is fine if you maybe had an option for that, but she's just like incessant, which is a shame because it takes away from like the really cool stuff of the game, which is the fact that you're hunting massive robot dinosaurs with cool traps and turning them into scrap and like taking the scrap, selling that, getting better gear and that kind of stuff. It's got kind of like it feels like a Monster Hunter loop in a kind of big third person single player open world adventure, which is really nice because like I love Monster Hunter. So but yeah, I'm really enjoying Horizon Forbidden West. But another game came out.
So can I just say, does that mean my approach of playing story mode games on silent with subtitles and then listening to a podcast in the background would be perfect for Horizon?
Yeah, probably would be. Yeah, I think you could probably get away with that, Ross. Actually, do you know, I have you played the first one, Ross?
No.
I kind of guessed you were going to say that.
I've been meaning to. I've been meaning to. It's on my list.
Definitely like pick up the first one and see if you like it, rather than spending like I still can't believe a game on PS5 from Sony costs £70. I'm still processing that in my head. Like it's £70.
It's one of the cool things about Elden Ring. It's an actual like somewhat reasonable price.
Yeah, depending on where you buy it from. Yeah, for sure. Which brings us nicely to Elden Ring. Mel, you've been playing, right?
Oh, God. I was hungover, as you know. I decided to spend £50 on this fucking stupid game that I thought I was going to be amazing at. I was like, yeah, as soon as I play that, I'm going to be great. Never played any kind of Souls-like game before. And I'm terrible. I decided to start off as the one that's just in its underwear. And I don't know why I picked it. So I was just going around with a club. And then I missed the tutorial. And then I was just running through some field trying to attack people with a club. Then I cancelled that, started a new game, started as Vagabond, found the tutorial. Really bad at it. Like, I'm super bad. And there's no easy mode. So I did 2 hours and 16 minutes, annoyingly, so I can't even return it. It's just not for me. It's not a me game. I like Ratchet and Clank. I like Hades. I like these silly little stupid games that I can just play and not get stressed out about. And this is just there's too much to remember. You know what I'm like? I don't remember anything. I don't remember what the name of the games I'm playing. I don't remember the names of anything. You have to tell me. So when it comes to having to remember all these different things and like get your bow out and blah blah blah, no. I'm not doing it. I don't want this. I don't want to have to take notes in a notepad. I just want to play a game. I respect everyone who's playing it. I love that everyone's like bonding over it. But no, I hate it. I despise it, and I can't even return it.
Oh man,
I'm upset.
That's heartbreaking. I'm
so gutted.
Yeah, so I had like kind of the opposite experience where I've also like only dabbled in Souls games. I played, I think, probably the opening hour of Bloodborne like 4 times, just desperate to get into it because everyone had said like, oh, it's really cool. It's got this kind of like gothic horror vibe, which I thought was kind of badass. And I just couldn't get into Demon's Souls. Well, no, actually, Demon's Souls on PS5 I really enjoyed like the first kind of few hours, but then other stuff came out and just, you know, work and you know, being a dad, it's just kind of like you don't have time to put in that grind to get good. So when Elden Ring came out, I was like, probably gonna bounce right off it, especially because like I literally only recently was tweeting like I think I'm over open world games. I just don't think they do it for me. But I was like, you know what, I'll give it a go, and I jumped in, and holy shit, this game has grabbed me like nothing else has in maybe ever. And it's so strange. Like I don't like games that don't give you direction. Like Skyrim was fine, but I quite enjoyed just following the main quest sort of thing. Like I did kind of just follow that breadcrumb trail. Breadcrumb trail.
God's sake.
Some salty bread there. But with Elden Ring, it feels like I came out the dungeon. To be fair, like you come out the tutorial dungeon, I completely missed you're supposed to go and get some items from the church that's straight ahead of you. I completely missed that. I just went off exploring, and then I was just like wandering around. I've just been like beating the shit out of people, and then like whenever like reinforcements turn up, I just leg it. I just whistle for the horse, and then I'm just gone. Like it's like drive by Elden Ring. But at the same time, when I do go into areas, I'm kind of like starting to learn that flow where I know I have to kill an enemy, I have to get back to the bonfire thing to like reset the enemies, but also kind of bank what I've got, level up, and that kind of stuff. And I've like gone up a few levels. I was playing the other night and I was just out and about and found this guy just in the first area that was like, oh hey, I've been driven from my castle and there's a shitload of enemies there. If you can clear it, I'll give you something good. But as you say, Mel, like if you don't remember things, it doesn't give you a quest log. It doesn't give you any indication. There's no map markers. So he was like, oh, it's to the south, like past the woods. And I was like, okay, I think I can work that out. And like you get the compass direction. So I managed to do it. Got to this castle, got my ass handed to me like multiple times, but I eventually did it. Went back to him, he gave me like the shittest weapon. I was like, are you kidding me right now? But that whole kind of story wouldn't have happened if I hadn't stumbled across that NPC, which was really cool. And I'm kind of hooked on just playing as the sword and shield guy because you can just kind of bash stuff out of the way and then stab with the sword. But yeah, Ross, you've picked it up, right?
I've got the game to go along with my PS5.
Oh, you got it on PS5 as
yeah,
well?
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. And it's actually I've opened the box because I've got like the launch ones that came with the pictures and the poster and all, and I've taken all of that out, and then I put it back in the box, and the box is sat next to my TV downstairs, like I don't know, 30 centimeters away from my PS5, so it's pretty close to being played. I just haven't
That's
got that
good
far
for
yet.
you. That is good for you.
30 centimeters from greatness. The Lloyd Coombs story.
That's with my height. That's my story as well.
I just love that. Like Mel's like, yeah, I tried it, didn't like it, and I'm like, oh, I tried it and I liked it. And Ross is just like, yeah, it's there. I'm not going to do anything with it. Do you think you'll get around to it, Ross?
Yeah, 100%.
When?
I don't know. I need to set the PS5 up, so.
You haven't set the console up yet?
No. I turned it on and then it wanted like a setup and I just no.
Someone is furiously listening to this and they can't get a PS5 and they're just like, I hate him. I hate him so much.
I went to do it and then I was like, well, to be honest, all the games I've got at the moment are PS4 games, so I've just been playing the PS4 ever since. So.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah,
and I realised quite early on, like I
you
didn't realise how small the storage is on the PS5. And I know you can add a hard drive, can't you? But
Yeah.
I was just like, I've got the PS4 Pro, so I've got so many games on that. I was like, I'm not going to port everything over when I can just play the PS4. I'm not in any rush to play the PS5. So I don't like the
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Either.
Yeah. Do you not like the controller? Oh, I prefer the PS5 controller to any PlayStation controller.
I've never liked PlayStation controllers actually. That controllers peaked at the Xbox 360 and they've just been a downhill trajectory ever since.
Bit like Call of Duty, really.
Yeah, true. Agree.
Yeah. So Mel, do you think you'll try Elden Ring again? Do you think you'll?
Well, I have to. I've spent 50 quid on it and I can't return it. So
sunk cost fallacy.
Like I got digital. Yeah.
Do you want me to buy you a notebook?
I'm gonna have to.
Will that help?
To be fair,
I think I'm gonna need it.
A lot of people have been saying like it's really helpful to have a little notepad next to you, and I'm like, why? Like, why can't a game
That just
just
sounds
have a
like
quest log?
homework.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I always have notepads
it's just
near me,
too much.
so I'll be alright. I don't write in them. They're just
Well,
they're
there
just
you
there
go.
to look like I'm intelligent.
Well, there you go, Ross. I think you should start Elden Ring. We should see how far you get.
I'll complete it once I start playing it. I'll get obsessed. I just can't afford to lose weekends of my life at the moment, so I'm just gonna wait until I've got some free time.
Yeah, I think the thing with Elden Ring, like, it's just so as we were saying earlier, like Horizon is so over tutorializing everything. It's like you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this, and like there's map markers everywhere. Elden Ring's just like, go on, have at it. See what
Sounds a bit
do.
like Morrowind. And Morrowind was great. So
yeah, it's like Morrowind. If I don't know, there's I feel like Morrowind's a little bit friendlier as well. Like Elden Ring, everything just wants to kill you. Like,
I've seen some clips of people on Twitter where they're fighting one boss and then like they stand back and something behind them just one shots them from behind. I'm like, that would be me. Like I'd quit the game for a fucking week. I just yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's quite interesting because like people have been saying about how like, oh, have you found this? Have you found this? And it's become like the next kind of. I remember when Zelda came out, like Breath of the Wild, everyone was like, oh, don't forget to go to this location to get this item. Now, Ross, I know you're not a big fan of. Well, you've not had.
I will play it one day. I just need to get a Switch.
One day, yeah.
Nintendo, hit me up.
But Mel, have you played Breath of the Wild?
No, I went to download it the other day because everyone was obviously making comparisons to Breath of the Wild, as they always do every time there's a game like this. And it was like 70 quid. I was like, came out fucking ages ago. Why are you? Nah. Like, can it not just go on? Some kind of pass.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, because again, it's open world, and I'm just like, I just don't think I am that kind of person. I like linear. I like storytelling.
All my favourite games have been open world, but I also am someone who, like, I put playing Witcher off for 2 years, and then I finally was like, right, I'll play it. And then I played like the first 10 hours, and I actually moved house, so I had to take my PC setup apart, move house, and I never got back on it. And then I finally played it again like a year later, and then I put 150 hours in. So I'm one of those, like, it'd probably be like that with Elden Ring. I'll probably put it off and put it off and put it off, and then go, oh my god, why have I been leaving this so long? And then lose nights of sleep and weekends. And
to be fair, you might not, because it is unlike Horizon. It is just like, it doesn't mind not telling you anything. Like, you'll go into an area and there'll be like some kind of random item, and you'll pick it up and you'll be like, cool, I can't wait to not find out what this ever does. Like like the currency in the game is runes, right? So you earn runes from killing enemies, killing like things out in the wild, and you can I think you can collect them as well. And I've been collecting these things called golden runes for like ages, and I had loads of them in my inventory. And it was only when I was playing like last night, after like literally playing like fairly solid like 8 hours, that I realised that if you open your inventory and use the golden rune, it just adds it to what you've got. And so it turns out I was walking around with like thousands of runes to level up, and I was like, had no idea, didn't know I needed to pick them up out of my inventory. So I found now. But also turns out there's like fast travel that I didn't even know about. There was I got lucky and got the horse, I think. But there's like other things, like there's a character who's like a merchant that sells you crafting stuff and the stuff you need to craft items, but I missed him at the start, so I just didn't see him for like 8 hours, and then just bumped into him yesterday. I was like, oh, hello.
I guess it's all sort of started the conversation around sort of do you put difficulty settings into games, hasn't it? And I know the Souls community is very against that, but yeah, it's definitely been something that I've been seeing people talking about again.
Yeah, it's
the thing is, like, I saw something, I don't know if we've discussed this before, but someone put on Twitter or something and said it's like having heavy metal toned down for the people who don't like heavy metal. It's like, it does, like, if you either like this kind of like genre of game or you don't. For me, I can see this as a beautiful game, this is a gorgeous game, like I can see it is definitely up there as game of the year. It's just not for me, and like that's not a bad thing. It's just some games aren't meant for everyone. No game's meant for everyone. Everyone has like the likes and dislikes, don't they? So yeah, I would play it more if it had an easy mode, but it wasn't made for me, clearly.
Yeah, I can see that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. It's sort of, some people like hard games, some people don't. I don't tend to like hard games. And honestly, I can't really explain what it is about this that's grabbed me. I think maybe it's just I got lucky picking a starting class that just kind of clicked with me, or I've not even got like particularly good weapons or armor or anything like that, and I'm kind of working my way through it bit by bit. I've only done one boss so far though, so maybe like ask me again next week and I'll be like, I fucking hate it. But we'll see. But I think it is very much bringing that difficulty conversation to the fore, but I think in a slightly different way to prior games, because in the likes of, say, the Demon Souls game on PS5, if you come to a boss and you get stuck, you are stuck. Whereas I think in Elden Ring, because you've got that opportunity to kind of turn around, go backwards, go out the way you came, come back when you're powered up, or come back when you've got a better item, or come back when you learn something about the character you're fighting. I think it does kind of knock down some of those barriers, but at the same time, I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world if there was kind of a more hack and slashy version that you could just jump in if you like the universe, because like it's a universe that was like in part created by George R.R. Martin, and you know, it's got these really messed up looking monster designs that I can't wait to see, like as a fan of like kind of like body horror kind of stuff. Like I think that's going to be really cool, but it's a shame that so many people won't see that. And a friend of mine, a very casual gamer, loves his FIFA, loves his Call of Duty, was like, oh, I've heard so much about this Elden Ring, I'm gonna pre-order it. And literally, like, he was like, within I think about 3 hours, he was like, I'm gonna uninstall this, it's just not for me. And you know, we're lucky in that we work in press, so we kind of know what to expect with a game. But if you were going into that completely uneducated, if you were going into like Elden Ring and you had no idea what the Soulsborne games were like, or you'd never heard of Sekiro or anything like that, like going into Elden Ring and being like, well, that's 50 quid down the drain, like it is a rough one. I can kind of see why people would want kind of a difficulty setting that maybe takes into account that you're not good at games, because like, don't tell the internet, but not everyone is good at games. How about you, Ross? What do you reckon?
I don't know. I don't know if I have a strong opinion one way or the other. I think in terms of like the difficulty debate, I think some games are there to be beaten, right? If it's a game where it's all about whether you know, did you beat the game, and then you have people who go, I beat it, but they beat it on easy mode, then it's not the same, is it? But there's a lot of games I think that people play for the story. You know, I guess that, you know, an example for me recently has been that I went back and, you know, played Uncharted. That's not a challenging game. And to be honest, I played it purely for the story and the enjoyment of it. The Witcher, I don't think I played it on Death March. I think I played it on the one just below. I can't remember what that is now. Blood and Broken Bones, maybe. And it was challenging enough for me to enjoy it and to die quite often, but also not feel like every time I went near anything I got killed, which I don't find enjoyable. I don't have the time to waste on trying to kill a boss for 5 hours. So yeah, I guess I think with Elden Ring, considering the fact it's kind of that Souls mold, I understand that why they wouldn't have a difficulty setting, and I don't think there's an issue with it at all. Like Mel said, some games just aren't for everyone. But I do think from what I've seen of it, and even from my casual friends, I've got one who started playing it and was like, it feels quite soulsy, and has actually then ended up quite enjoying it. I think if people are able to sort of grind through those first few hours, then they'll probably acquire enough skill that they can get through it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a divisive game. I think it's going to be a lot of people's game of the year. I think it's probably mine at the moment. But yeah, I'm really interested to see kind of what conversations come out of it, because I think, as with Zelda, like I mentioned earlier, like and as Mel said, like there's all these comparisons every time there's an open world game. Every time something comes out, it's like, is it as good as Breath of the Wild? For me, I just bounced off Breath of the Wild. It didn't hook me. I thought the world was too open in my kind of.
People have lower standards for Nintendo games, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nintendo is definitely judged by a different metric, and I think the world of Breath of the Wild, I think, is beautiful, but I think it is quite empty. In a lot of areas, anyway. Like, there's a lot of rolling fields that look great, but it's like when you're in them, it just feels like extra stuff to walk through and stuff. I didn't like the weapon durability. I found Breath of the Wild harder than I'm finding Elden Ring at the moment, which seems like a bizarre thing to say.
I've seen quite a lot of discussion actually about weapon durability. For me, it's never added anything to a game where I've thought, I really like the fact that I need to maintain my weapons and I need to fix them and they get worn down, or that my armor gets worn down and I need to repair it. It's never really added an enjoyment factor. But I've seen quite a lot of people talking about it, and I guess when I actually started reading, I was like, I can kind of take it or leave it. Do you feel like it's something you would want in Elden Ring?
No, not at all. I think Elden Ring is kind of predicated on, I went all this way and I beat this boss and I got like a wicked sword to show for it. And I think if then you go, oh, this sword's going to be useless after like 20 swings, then you're going to be like, well, what was the point? Whereas Breath of the Wild, I always felt like it was kind of like, okay, you've got this weapon, it's broken, now you've got to use this weapon. It kind of made the weapons just kind of feel, well, they literally disposable. Like, they just felt a bit indistinguishable from one another, until you get like Master Sword. Presumably I never got that far, but I think certain games do it well. Like Monster Hunter does it quite well. Your weapon doesn't break, but it gets dull, and then you use the like a whetstone to sharpen it. But while it's dull, you do like what's called blunt damage as opposed to like sharpened damage. So it's like a different damage type, and some monsters are weaker to it. But I think Elden Ring, like the last thing that would need is that kind of durability thing, because I think that would put me right off it. And yeah, it's already hard enough as it is without like going into a boss.
I was going to say, you don't want to be fighting a boss for 20 minutes and then all of a sudden your weapon just breaks.
Yeah, imagine just being one hit away from the final blow, and you just go to swing it, and you look in your hands, it's just not there anymore. Like, it'd be wild, wouldn't it? But yeah, Mel, you know what we could do? We could do some co-op at some point. Although actually, you're on PC, aren't you? So
Xbox.
Oh, you're on Xbox. Okay, yeah. So that's a bit of a tricky one then. That's a shame.
Yeah, I've had a couple of people offer, and I'm like, I would love to, but unfortunately, I'm the only person in the world who bought it on Xbox.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I got it on PS5 actually. Unlike Ross, I play my PS5. I'm kidding, but I did buy extra storage for it, so that's probably why I play it most of my stuff on there, because it's just got more storage than my Xbox. But yeah, Elden Ring. It's going to be really divisive. I mean, Ross, you quite like high fantasy kind of stuff anyway, right?
Yeah, one of the reasons I haven't been playing games as much recently is because Shane, who works at the Center with us, got me onto Brandon Sanderson, and I've read about how many books in am I? I'm like 6 books in, so I've done 3 Stormlight books, 2 Mistborn books, something like that. I can't even remember because I've just been reading them all one after the other, which is all pretty high fantasy, a bit of sci-fi in it as well. And that's one of the reasons I haven't been playing games as much. But yeah, I mean, anything fantasy, anything with swords, I'm pretty much cool with.
Yeah, I think it's just got a really cool aesthetic. I think nothing else really looks like a Souls game. They kind of take that kind of that Skyrim aesthetic of like quite quintessential fantasy, and then they just make it really kind of warped and a little bit fucked up, which I think I've always quite liked about them, even from afar. Like even when I wasn't playing them, I don't know if you're the same, Mel, where like the creatures just look cool and it's got a really cool vibe.
Yeah, I think that's why I really wanted to be good at it, and I'm not. But one of them, innit? It does.
Maybe what you should do is watch a playthrough and just pretend that you've played it, and then you can be like, right, I didn't waste my money now. Just watch a free YouTube playthrough. So someone who's actually really good at the game. Yeah, okay, I've got my experience that I paid £50 for.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that's
don't
not a
watch
bad shout. I can't believe I was 16 minutes over being able to refund it though. I was so annoyed.
Oh, what
if I hadn't have picked the wrong character class, I would have been alright.
What if we phoned Big Phil and just be like, look, we talk about Game Pass enough on this podcast. Can you just like refund Melwa £50? You don't need £50.
Yeah, just,
he probably
just
goes.
wire it back.
He probably goes to the loo and just like wipes himself with £50. Like, just see if he can refund you.
Maybe I'll go back. Maybe one day I'll go back. Maybe I'll be like Ross, and 10 years from now I'll be like, you know what, I'm gonna have another crack at that, and maybe my taste would have changed. Maybe I'll be good at games. Maybe they will have introduced an easy mode. Who knows?
Yeah. I think that's the thing with Elden Ring. Is like there is an online component, so it is always being tweaked as well.
Yeah.
So you never know what could come around the corner. I mean, it's quite cool as well. Excuse me. Is there's kind of like this mechanism where people can leave messages, and people will leave the trolliest messages. They're like, hey, yeah, jump off this cliff. There's something cool down the bottom. You're like, I'm not falling for that one. And then you look down.
Wasn't the one that was like
there is like a couple of blood stains where people have clearly just jumped.
So the bloodstain thing, I had no idea what that was at first. So when it was like touch bloodstain, I was like, no, I'm not going anywhere near that. And then I realised it would show you how people had died, and thought that was pretty interesting. But all these little notes do my head in. And I'm just like, oh, can you just show me what the things are that I need, and not just some 14-year-old's idea of a funny joke.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's so many.
I wish I could turn it off.
Like there's so
Can
many.
you turn
messages.
it off?
You might be able to. I don't know. Some of them are helpful, but like the majority of them are just like nonsense. And like I found one that was like, it said beware snake, and I hate snakes, right? I'm not good with snakes, and I was just like, fuck it. I just left the area, and literally I googled it later on. It was like there's one boss in Elden Ring that's like a bit reptilian. That's it. I was like, so this fucker made me leave this whole location because they put down this note about a snake. I was like, are you kidding me right now? So
you can't even do snakes in games.
Nah, man. Nope. Not even like the Resident Evil 1 boss Yawn. That's a massive cobra thing. Yeah.
See, my fear of spiders is why I can't play Skyrim.
Yeah, when I play, I'm the same. I replaced Skyrim spiders with bears with a mod, and
I was going to say I need the mod.
They come down from the ceiling still.
Oh no!
But they're still just bears.
Like
so
I don't even remember the spiders in Skyrim.
It's about literally 25
realistic.
minutes in.
Yeah, they're weirdly realistic looking. Like in a game that doesn't look great, the spiders have like painstaking attention to detail in terms of like even the hairs on their legs.
No, as soon as I got to that bit, I put the controller down and I didn't go back. I was like, no, I'm gonna wait until I get a decent gaming PC and just mod it.
Yeah,
because that ain't for me.
That's the other thing as well. Like, I'm quite curious to see what the modding community does with Elden Ring. Like, there's going to be some really weird stuff. Like, there's a dragon which is just crying out to be made into Thomas the Tank Engine or some fucking weird shit like
is
that.
Is it?
Like, you just know it's coming.
Always Thomas the Tank Engine every time.
With the modding side of it, is that something where they can actually like add expansions and add quests like they do in other games, or is it very limited to like graphics and stuff like that?
I think it's a little bit less open-ended than something like Skyrim, where you can essentially build like whole new areas of the game and stuff. I think with Elden Ring, it's probably going to be, people will do quality of life things, like someone's already added a pause menu, like because you can't pause the game and that kind of stuff. So I think it's going to be a lot of quality of life stuff, and probably stuff that switches assets out for like weird shit, like as we say, like Thomas the Tank Engine flying through the sky. And like the first time you encounter a dragon in Elden Ring, this isn't really a spoiler because it literally happens in like the first area. Like you're on the horse, you're charging across, and there's like this group of enemies, and you're thinking, oh, it's easy XP or like easy runes. And then like, as you get closer, this dragon just swoops down from the sky, like kills them all, and then just turns and looks at you. And I've still not gone near him. I just literally turned around. I was like, nope. 8 hours later, I'm still plucking up the courage to go and fight that dragon. And it looks a bit like the dragon from God of War 2018 as well, Ross.
Mm.
You know, it's like one of them.
Great game.
You played God of War, right?
I've got it.
I thought you had. Oh, okay. It was Mel that played it. Sorry, I got confused. Yeah. So,
and it looks like Ragnarok's coming out really soon. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
I think
he's showing us God of War.
I think Elden Ring will be a lot of people's game of the year, but like there is still so much good stuff left to come.
Yeah.
Ragnarok. I'm trying to think now. I'm really excited for Marvel's Midnight Suns as well, like the strategy game based on Marvel. But I'm a bit of a turn-based strategy fan, so. But yeah, what a year for games already. Like just in February, like we did that episode at the start of February, it was like Sifu's coming out and Dying Light's come out and Horizon's coming out and Elden Ring's coming out, and I kind of said to you guys, like, I think Elden Ring's going to be huge, and it was.
Wow.
I think
five stars for predicting that one, Lloyd.
No, I mean I had meant that it would be like huge in terms of like it would be a cultural thing, and I think it has been in the same way that Breath of the Wild was in 2017. I think I feel really sorry for Horizon because it launched alongside Breath of the Wild, and now it's launched alongside Elden Ring, and it just feels like Guerrilla cannot catch a break. But I think they've got the advantage of being like a AAA first party exclusive where people are going to pick up Horizon regardless of what else is coming out at the time. But yeah, I do kind of feel like they've probably been passed over for Game of the Year now, which is a shame because all moaning about Aloy chatting nonsense aside, like it is a really, really great game and a really good sequel as well. It's like everything is better than the first.
From what I've seen as well, she's just a really good protagonist, right? Like for numerous reasons. You know, she's the sort of person that you want leading up a game. So yeah, it's definitely a series that I'll get into. Is it Aloy in the first one as well?
Yeah, they're both Aloy, and then so there's an expansion for the first one as well, and it's still Aloy there. Yeah, it's really good, mate. As I say, I kind of tend to avoid open world games, but Horizon definitely hooks me. I think the key with Horizon is, you know, open world games. I know we're kind of going off on a tangent again here, but like, you know how open world games, like combat's quite often feels like an afterthought after world building and traversal and that. Mm-hmm. Horizon's got just really, really great combat, like throughout, whether you're using the bow, whether you're using traps, whether you're using the spear, like it's all good. The enemies are cool to fight, and it just, you have these epic fights. Like every single encounter feels epic, and I think that's something that open world games, like Elden Ring aside, kind of struggle with at times. I think everything can feel a bit like formulaic. It's just in a different area, but yeah,
cool.
Elden Ring, everybody. Should we move on to some questions?
I mean, there aren't really many questions here today.
We've only got two. One of them is Mel happy about Elden Ring chat?
I'm happy that everyone else is happy.
That's very nice of you.
It's a diplomatic answer, but as I say, it's just not for me.
Fair enough.
But
it has to be now because you spent £50 on it, so you're going to have to make it for you at some point.
Oh, God. Honestly. But, yeah, it's beautiful and it's everything everyone wanted it to be, and what more can you ask for, really? It's just people like me who aren't good at games are just annoyed.
I'm really excited for like next week when Mel like jumps on the podcast and we're like, what have you been playing? And she's like, Elden Ring. And it either go one or two ways. She'll be like, I still haven't got my 50 quid's worth. Or she'll be like, I am so good, I just killed that dragon that Lloyd was too scared to fight. You know?
I think if I'm going to play, I just need to go around like leveling up as much as I can before I even try and attempt and take on any kind of boss.
Yeah. I mean, if only the game like explained how you could level up and stuff as well, you know?
Well, luckily there's lots of guides on Deserto and GG Recon, so...
What can I say? I think everyone is writing about Elden Ring now. It's wild.
Yeah.
But the only other question we've got is from James Wright. Ezio is coming to Fortnite, so it's only right that you ask Ross how he's feeling. Ross, will you play Fortnite now that your boy Ezio's in it?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, come on.
Absolutely not. But he will be the best person that ever joined Fortnite, and he'll probably be so overpowered that he'll just like knock people's buildings down with his hidden blade or something. So I don't know if that's how it works.
Thinking about it, now that you're talking about it, you kind of want to see what he looks like, though, don't you?
I've already googled it.
Oh, okay. Are you pleased with the Ezio?
It doesn't really look like him, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
Yeah, I take it's a bit cartoony.
It just looks like a young version of him, but it kind of also looks like the guy from Black Flag. It's a bit weird.
Oh, was it Kenway? Kenway? I can't remember Black Flag.
Black Flag. I
I've
really
never
didn't enjoy
seen
at the
it.
time, and then actually like looking back at it, I'm like, that was pretty good. It just wasn't exactly what I wanted at the time.
Yeah, it's a good pirate.
I need to have a look
good
at the
pirate
design.
game. Not great for.
If you go back and look at it now, like the graphics have held up really well. Like in terms of like the way the game looked, it was a really really good game. But yeah, I
got that when I got my PS4 because that was the first Assassin's Creed on that gen of console. And I just remember being like, "Oh my god, look at the water! It looks so good." I think it probably still does look good as well. Like Assassin's Creed does always look great. But that's all the questions we've got for today. So that's sad. But if anyone's got any more questions, do let us know. And as I say, we'll have a bonus episode later this week as well for the 4 people out there that still care about Destiny 2, like me and our guests do as well. So, but I think that's everything from me. Have you guys got anything you want to add?
I don't know.
Well, I was going to ask if either of you two have watched the Uncharted movie. Movie?
I haven't watched it.
I haven't.
I've seen it. I know a few people who have. Most of them say really good as a standalone movie, not good as an Uncharted movie because it's not true to the characters. But in terms of like, if you didn't call it Uncharted, I think I spoke about this before. Maybe I didn't. If you didn't call it Uncharted and it was just like treasure hunter, whatever, apparently it'd be quite a good film.
Yeah,
I thought it was all right. I went to see it in 4DX, so I was being thrown about everywhere. It was great.
Just like that is literally like going to the cinema and just getting like one of those really painful massages, isn't it? It's like getting like you come out, your muscles ache. You know, like I remember working with someone and they were like, I went and saw Avengers: Infinity War and I felt like Thanos had kicked the shit out of me at the end. It's just like ouch. Yeah, I don't think I could do that. I think I'll probably wait till it comes out on DVD, to be honest, or on like Sky Cinema or something. But Ross, while we're on the subject of video game adaptations, did you say you don't like the Witcher show?
Yeah, it's crap.
Okay. Because I'm gonna properly start it soon.
It's it would be a half decent. It would be a half decent fantasy show if it wasn't in the world of the Witcher. He does a good job, and he actually, has a lot of respect for the source text. But outside of that, it's just not very good. It's almost like fan fiction in the world of The Witcher now. It's gone completely away from the books and the games. And actually, the games follow a different storyline, especially the third one from the books. But they're both incredible standalone things, and they really build on this world that the author had created. And I mean, you've got to remember as well, the books are translated from Polish, so there's a lot lost in translation. They're still incredibly rich and still incredibly good. And then the TV show just sort of just Netflixifies it, and it just dumbs it down, and they change some really important characters and the way they do things. They sort of the first episode of season 2 was all right. They kind of used one of the short stories from The Last Wish. And did like a TV adaptation of that, and that was pretty good. But then the rest of the series is just a train wreck in terms of actually good Witcher content.
Oh, that's a shame. I'm going to give it a go. Mel, have you watched it?
Yeah, I've watched it all. I liked it, but I love him. So
yeah, how can you not?
He's really good, and honestly, he's one of the only things that holds it together. But it's like I say, if you watch it as just a standalone fantasy show, you'd probably be like, it's a 7 out of 10. But as a sort of representation of one of the best fantasy series and games ever, it just doesn't live up to them. It really doesn't. But I'd say to anyone, if you've watched the show and you thought that's good, do yourself a favour and read the books or get the audiobooks or play the games. And you can do either. Like I say, the stories and the games are a bit different. I actually prefer, I shouldn't say this, but I actually prefer the way the games end. But I would say anyone who is interested in it, because it's quite confusing, the show. It jumps around. It doesn't really explain characters. Go and read the books, and they're really, really good. Really good.
I might read the books, actually. I've not read any books for a while, so...
Yeah, you and me both, Mel. I think probably a good decade. It's been so long since I read a book.
It's about as long as it took me to play a game, so, you know.
Yeah, I am to books what Ross is to games. There you go.
I can sit here and talk about fantasy books for much longer than I could talk about games.
Maybe if the bonus episode goes well later, we can do a bonus episode where you talk about books.
I'd love that, to be fair.
Yeah, I'd like to listen to Ross's voice all day.
Glitch slap
I'm
book
lucky
club.
I get to work with him. Yeah, glitch slap book club. Yeah, it sounds quite good actually. Yeah, I'd tune in for that. Right, note to self: get a new logo drawn up for that. But yeah, I think that's everything, guys. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I know it's kind of a bit wild in the world at the moment, but it's always a pleasure to kind of chat with you guys and just hang out and just talk about video games with two people that I've never met personally, but that I love spending time with once a week.
Oh, same.
Cheers, guys.
Ross is very silent. Right, thank you so much, everyone. Do give us a like and a share, and subscribe if you can. And if you can give us a rating on Spotify or Apple Podcast, that'd be amazing as well. And thank you so much. We'll be back. As I say, I'll be back later on this week, and then we'll be back next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.